Whoa.
Yes, God.
Yes, God, yes. Oh, I beat my chest. Oh, I fall prostrate. Lowest of the low, hide your face from my sin. Ooh. Let your mercy show. Yes, God, yes. Oh, restore my soul. Oh, my spirit friend. Hey. I bring a song. Your mercy is show. Your mercy is show.
Born in the rain, Big Ten revival, the goodness of love. Fully entitled, I keep a Bible app for quick fix. Don't you keep a parachute in the cockpit? 24/7, 365. I need G's my prize. My winner ticket, I'm gonna kick it like fourth and go, 1 second on the clock. Dig if you're cool, hate if you're not. I flow like the currents. Blame my parents, my style inherited. Deacon treads, my heart been led, my spirit's fed. Psalms 51, have mercy on me according to who you are. You are the only one, the holy one, the risen one. You'll never
Yes,
stop.
God, yes. Hey. I beat my chest. I fall prostrate. Lowest of the low, hide your face from my sin. Let your mercy show. Yes, God, yes. Restore my soul, my spirit friend. I bring a song. Your mercy is shown. Your mercy is shown. Your mercy is shown. Your mercy is shown. Super love, holy love. Broken for usage, broken for usage, broken for usage, yeah. Broken for usage, broken for usage, yeah. Broken for usage, broken for usage, yo. Broken for usage, 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 broken for usage.
What to do? How y'all doing on this Sunday? How are y'all doing? Hey, man, listen, if you are watching, I'm only streaming from one platform today because I'm doing a review, right? And, you know, sometimes these content creators need pages be having issues about you reviewing their content. So I just want to be on the safe side. So I'm only going to stream from one platform. Man, I got this beet juice, man. Y'all like that beet juice? Yeah, y'all like that beet juice? Got to get that circulation going, that blood flowing in that body. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Hey, what's good, Win? Willing to win. What's good, my boy? How you doing? You doing all right? I only slept 3 hours, literally. I only slept 3 hours last night. We were streaming all night. Yeah, man, I was chilling, relaxed. I said, man, I'm going to go live because I've been wanting to review a video. And so I'm gonna start the video like when the conversation really gets started. It's like almost an hour of them just talking, but we're gonna get right into the meat and potatoes, all right? So we're gonna get right into the meat and potatoes. Make sure you like the stream, share the stream. If you like the content, support. Ways to support is pinned in the chat. We're not gonna prolong the time. I know y'all don't want to hear me ramble and keep going back and forth, but this is an interesting conversation. And my thing is Sunday, right? It's Sunday, so I wanted to give y'all. Oh, hold on. I shared the wrong one, y'all. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see something. Hold on. I shared the wrong one. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me take that down. All right, bet. Here we go. All right, 1 second. There we go. I got it now. Yeah, so let's go. We're gonna get right into the meat and potatoes. Hold on.
You have when you get to the
yeah. All right, let's go. Right,
texting me private, or I had a private phone call. I'm sick of that crap with all the stuff online right now. You know how many people are saying like, oh, well, he personally told me this right before he died. So no, that I had one private phone call. It was great, and we did not talk about interracial marriage. So I'm not gonna talk about that. But here's the deal: I'm thinking of Vodi Bakum. I'm thinking of him saying one race, the human race. And a few years ago, I would have been like, yeah, one race.
All right, so to give y'all a backstory, they're talking about interracial marriage and does God ordain or does God condone? Since it's Sunday, I wanted to deal with something quote unquote spiritual. All right, and I think this is a very intriguing conversation. I know a lot of times we like to watch entertainment, but we have to get some things of substance in our spirit. Now, if I'm being transparent, there's not a lot of substance in what this guy right here is saying, but I want y'all to listen. It's very intriguing. And I'll be starting and stopping, giving commentary on this. Let's go.
Human right, you get them, Vodi, get those racists. And that would have been my position. And I've developed since then. So in this scenario, if a young black man came to me first, because we do courting, he'd have to go through me. Mm-hmm. And he wants to date my daughter, I'm always going to consider her interest. If she's not interested, we're not doing it. So I'm going to talk to her. I would consider those interests, those kinds of things. But in terms of would I give the green light, as I was walking my wife through this, and she brought up the same kind of question, and she said, Vodi, that's who she used in this analogy. She was like, what if it was, one of Vodi's sons?
So they're talking about interracial marriage, and he's using a black Christian that they know. And so that's the context of the man that they're referencing is a quote unquote black Christian man that they know.
And then it's one of our daughters. And I said, see, and this is important for the debate, the distinction between two different categories, ethnicity and race. And I believe they overlap, but we're going to use them as two different terms. Ethnicity, I would say, it contains the racial components, but it's much broader. Because ethnicity is not just biological, it's not just ancestry and lineage, but it also encompasses language, liturgy. So I do L's like loves, language, liturgy, being worship, religion, those kinds of things. Customs, culture, traditions, all these things come in law. Yeah, all these things come into play with ethnicity. And in the case of Vodi Bakum's son, it would be, and this is just the reality. I'm not excited about it. It makes me sad, but it is the reality. Vodi Bakum's son in these United States.
OG Speed, what up?
States of America in the year of our Lord 2026 would be one of the rare black men, young black men, who actually shares, for the most part, virtually to a T, the same ethnicity as my white daughters, right? Meaning same religion, same worldview, same traditions, both celebrate Thanksgiving, both, like Christmas, same, all that traditions, customs, heritage, being like, he's not a black Nigerian who came here 15 minutes ago, but like has been in America, heritage black American that has been here, tracing his ancestry back for a couple centuries. So in that regard, and they're Reformed Baptist, I'm Reformed Baptist, the doctrinal things would be aligned, all those kind of things. So that would be one of the rare individuals. The reality is, and I don't think you guys are going to push back on this, the reality is, I would say that about 90 to 95% of the black church in America is heretical, has terrible doctrinal views. Hold on. So what you're conceding?
Wow. This man says over 90% of black Christians in America, black churches, have terrible doctrine views. Oh my God. That was crazy. That was crazy. Did y'all hear that, man? Y'all listen to this. Watch this. Now, hold on. Now, let me show y'all. So y'all see the guy right here in the black hoodie, the Caucasian man in the black hoodie? He's married to a black woman. So that's why you got the black guy and this young man right here, this Caucasian guy next to the black guy to his right. He's married to a black woman. So I'm just trying to give y'all context. And you got the black and white suit. The man in the middle, he's black and white. So the guy in the middle is black and white. And then you got these two right here. They're just Europeans, whatever you want to call them, white, whatever.
That you would let your daughter marry Vodi Bakum's son 10 years in the future. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that would be permissible. Okay. I would not encourage it, though.
You would not encourage it?
Would you discourage it?
Yeah. It depends.
On what?
Well, because so here's a scenario for every young black man that meets that mold, the ethnic, not racial, but ethnic mold. They have the same religion, the same traditions, the same customs, the same language, all that kind of stuff. For every one of those, currently right now, in not just America, but in my local church, there would be several young white men who would also meet those exact standards.
That's not what we're asking.
Yeah. Listen, they asked him a direct question, and then what he said, you know what? For every black, quote unquote, man, Christian man that meets these standards, there's also a white Caucasian man. So why would we even look at the black man when we have white men that already meet those standards, or if more?
Would you discourage the black man who meets those standards? Would you discourage your daughter or that relationship?
What I'm saying is that if all things are equal, black man, white man, with my daughter being white, if all things are equal, I would encourage her towards a white young man.
Would you discourage her from the black man?
It's a simple yes
Yeah,
or no.
yeah.
So you would discourage her?
Yeah, as opposed to marrying a young white.
No.
Man.
You're creating a false binary. I'm saying,
He's saying in a vacuum, there's only one.
A black man goes to your church, loves Jesus, Bodhi Bakum
In a vacuum,
yes,
that black man is the only suitor that there is, then I would want my daughter to get married.
Okay, so
I would prefer marriage to my daughter being alone.
Okay.
Age is a huge factor, as I think about it for my children as well. If you're a 40-year-old man, you came to Christ just a couple years ago, and to be honest, there's not a lot of gals lining up, and you say, hey, here's this gal.
So basically, he said, if there's a vacuum and the black man is the only person left on the earth, he would go ahead and concede to his daughter being married. So how y'all feel about that?
We're not closely related, but she's a Christian. She's lovely. She wants to marry me and have a family. That is very much so different than, say, a man who's 22, who's upwardly socially mobile, saying, I'm interested in this for these reasons.
Sure.
So age as well also comes in.
I don't want to get in the weeds of age.
I think it's important to say just at the outset, as we think about even the premise of the debate, is we use this word ordinarily, and it's an important word because we actually, there's two levels of analysis. There's the universal, and you could say a principle or something that's normative. It happens generally speaking. And then you can get into the particulars, right? Look at individual context. And what I think it's more helpful to stay at the frame of the universal or the principle, because what we'll do if we just keep pulling up examples of like, what if there was this and this, and then it
I get you. Totally. I understand. There's also a lot in that word generally. You guys are sneaking in a lot in that word generally. That's why I asked you.
But I put it there intentionally.
I understand
not to be sneaky, but just to say there are general principles.
Yes, fair enough.
General principles are not necessarily universal principles.
Real
Each and
quick,
every
I think you have something, but just a point of clarity. I think we're using our words a little different. Okay. So when you say ethnicity, I think ancestry, like 23andMe DNA. So when you're saying ethnicity, are you using it more like nationality, like American ethnicity is American, like a black man who loves Jesus is an American ethnicity? Is that how you're using it?
Biblically, I would say, natio, that would actually be more in line with what we think of as race.
Okay.
When I say ethnicity, I'm using like Stephen Wolf's definition of ethnicity. So I would argue that like I want America as a Christian nationalist to be mono-ethnic. This is what I mean by that. I want everyone in America. That doesn't mean mono-racial. Although I would like America to be predominantly white. Because that's the history.
Wow. This man said he would rather and want America to be predominantly white. That was man. So you want America to be predominantly white, but y'all, you know what? I'm not even trying. We're gonna get to the video, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all come up here and cook. Listen, for those that's watching, get a pen and paper and everything that you have an issue with, write it down. And when I bring y'all up, we're going to come up and we're going to start cooking. All right. So remember these points. For y'all that want to come up, we're going to get through the video a little bit, but I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And anything that y'all hear that y'all want to take off, y'all want to deal with, make sure y'all write it down. We're going to keep rocking.
It's the heritage.
Sounds boring.
It's currently.
Those are our people.
There are people.
The pioneers who came and they spread out. They endured the hardship. They created the most prosperous nation the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Like those are my people, and to say, and then the future looks nothing like them. It has no continuity,
Is
no
Uganda
resemblance.
I
Like,
wouldn't say that.
Is the Sudan
I'm
boring?
I'm not going against this.
Is Japan boring?
No, I'm just saying I'm not going against this idea of or the great work that a particular people has done. Or
Man, stop. Come on. Hey, God Logic. Now I rock with you, brother. I actually like God Logic. Now, my OG in the comments, he really not too fond of God Logic, and I understand why. I understand, OG. I understand. But listen, this dude not giving these people no pushback. That's my problem. You gonna sit up here and concede to white people creating a great country, and you gonna forget about the people, us? How you, God Logic, how you do that? How you not even acknowledge the contribution? Let's just put the fact that we were already here before them. You just gonna forget that. We were already here. We taught them how to survive in this country. Right? He just gonna forget everything that black people did. He getting people no pushback. Man, that's terrible.
Put in, right? But you're saying that you would want the America to be
Majority white.
white.
Majority white.
You
Yeah.
would want them to be majority white. If you had, and this was what was interesting, if you had a black person who met your criteria standard wise and character wise and spiritually, that you would discourage your daughter from marrying this individual.
If we're not in a vacuum, if we're not in isolation, then ordinarily for every black man who would fit my criteria currently right now, let's just be honest, for every black man who would meet my theological criteria, heritage criteria, all those kind of things, moral criteria, behavioral criteria, he's upstanding, for every black man like that, there would be at least 20 white men.
So, but why would you discourage against the black one who meets your
because
standard?
if both options are viable, there are 20 white men who fit the bill and one black man who fits the bill, then all things being equal, I would prefer for my grandchildren to look like me.
Okay.
And this
so
is
it's a
actually-
preference.
So let me ask y'all this. So for him saying that he preferred his grandchildren to look like him, I personally don't have an issue with that. I don't even have an issue with that. How do y'all feel about that? Now, I can critique someone, not necessarily agree with someone, but at the same time compartmentalize and extract truth. Like I would want my grandkids to look like me personally. So I really don't have an issue with that prejudice because I'm prejudiced in that regard too. I would prefer for my grandkids to look just like me, melanated. Okay, so I really don't have an issue with that statement.
It's a
Let me
preference.
just chime in. We further deny that sovereign nations must only be composed of mono-ethnic populations. Therefore, as Christian nationalists, we utterly repudiate sinful ethnic partiality in all its forms. So you signed this statement denying a country being a mono-ethnic
Must
population.
be.
Okay.
Must be.
But you signed this Christian nationalist statement. This sounds like a clear contradiction, which you
Must
just said, which you would prefer to be mono-ethnic.
Prefer must. Yeah. Those
Okay.
are two different words.
Okay.
So
That you don't think that's a bit of a contradiction in the statement you've signed here?
No, I don't. We want America to be mono-ethnic. Again, that does not mean monoracial or monocolor. So when I say mono-ethnic, I'm thinking of someone like Clarence Thomas, who is a Christian American man. He's a Christian American man. I don't want people who are from Haiti and got here 2 weeks ago. But if America was not monoracial, right? There are some black people, there's Hispanic people, there's some Asian people, and majority white people, but they're all Christian. They all speak English. I don't walk into stores and see 7 different languages
I
anymore.
understand your position.
That's what
as
I
a
mean by
Christian nationalist.
mono-ethnic.
Okay, so you would prefer.
Okay, so he's not down with the immigrants. How do y'all feel about that? He said he wants different races of people, but they're all according to one ideology when it comes to religion. And his preferred religion is Christianity. So he said, I don't want no goddamn illegal immigrants. So I'm pretty sure he's a Republican. So he's saying, ICE, get all these people up out of here. Listen, if they don't speak English, get them out of here. Now, can I be real? Brandon, tell me what to do. Tiara, how you doing? Vine Ministries, what's going on? Taylor May, how you doing, baby? Tiara. So again, now I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I do get frustrated when I go in places and they don't speak English, and then they look at me like I'm wrong, or they look at me like I'm in the wrong country. Like, say, bro, you need to learn the lingo. So I'm gonna be real. I be frustrated when I go certain places and they don't speak English and they want to look at me like I'm in the wrong country. Like, player, hold up. Don't you realize this America? So I'm not down with all the illegal immigrants. That's me personally. I believe that if you're gonna come over here, you have to go through the proper channels, get the right documentation, and that's what it is. All right, I got you, B. Tim, and I see where you're going with it. You're sure for sure. I get it. So I can concede to some of his point, and some of it I disagree with wholeheartedly. But we're gonna keep building.
Prefer it, but it must not be.
I wouldn't say it has to be in order for it to be a Christian nation.
Okay. You don't think that's incongruent and incoherent?
No.
Okay.
No.
You have, when you get to the empire status, I think of Russia, for example, you're going to be the composition of a number of different people from different geographies. And your challenge is have enough of a shared identity, but you also don't want to destroy the distinctives. And so America's pretty big. It's a lot different than a nation like Georgia, for example. Georgia will probably be mostly monoracial and monoethnic. America, if people could identify as America, that would be great. But we do recognize you have parts of, like I said, the heritage blacks in the South, the Hispanics, mostly in Texas and California. You're going to have some differences in there, and you don't have to, as the Christian nation, come in and say, and now all these distinctions have to be flattened. There will be no more soccer. You can say, no, we recognize 350 million people. There's going to be little Italy and there's going to be little Chinatown, and you don't have to say those things can't exist.
I would like to get rid of soccer.
They call it football.
Soccer,
everywhere else.
Soccer is a deceitful tactic to get people to just run long distances for no reason. Go ahead.
I want to ask you the same question. So, like, because you are a more unique, side of this team.
Yeah.
So when it comes,
now watch this guy. He's black and white, and just listen to his rhetoric. Just listen to this man.
To how you're viewing this, what would you? I don't know what to present to you. What's because you're interracial, you're black and white.
Yeah.
So how would you handle a black or white person trying to come, and let's say you had a daughter or vice versa, a son, and they're trying to come into your family?
Yeah, it's a good question. And one actually it's really important for the purpose of this conversation, because people like me are the product of kind of what we're going back and forth over. And it presents a bunch of quandaries, I think, being biracial, being mixed race, whatever you want to call it. I would say, I would get back to the sort of the core theme of the position. It's this idea, and we, in my opening statement, I rooted it in creational order, but it's this idea that marriage is founded on this idea of compatibility, or more specific word could be correspondence. So I have 3 children. My children are 70. I'm married to a white woman. My children are 75% white. I believe a shared identity.
Hold on, what did he say? Hold on. We got to go back. What this fool say? Hold on. Give me 1 second. And I'm trying to get it right there. Okay, listen to this.
Or a specific word could be correspondence. So I have 3 children. My children are 70. I'm married to a white woman. My children are 75% white.
Okay. Hold on. All right.
I believe a shared identity, a component of your identity is your race. I think you would probably admit that as well, right? Like when you talk to people and you say, "Yeah, I'm black," and that blackness carries some significance. It carries some meaning when you say it, So having race as a component of shared identity, I have children who are 75% white. They certainly, if you saw them, you would believe they presented as white. You'd be.
Hey, Tierra, I got it now because he's black and white and he's married to a white woman. So I got it. It had to register real quick, Tierra. That's why I had to compute it in my mind.
Hard pressed to think they were set 25% black, for example. I would encourage my children to find a spouse that is compatible with them. that is not only culturally, and we think about ethnos, and I think my definition of ethnos encapsulates basically language, culture, exactly what sort of Joel is describing. But not only that, I think the shared identity as well is a part of that. And I think in the same way that Black people can have a sort of a blackness, a Black element to their identity, white people should have a Black element, or sorry, a white element to their identity.
There's some whites that got a Black element to
Well,
their
yeah, that's definitely true. So my position would be to encourage my child to marry a white woman on the basis of that. And
Really?
yeah,
Even because it sounds like they have both. No?
well,
His kids look very white. For
His
the record.
kids are. I mean, they're
two of my children have blue
they're
eyes.
Yeah.
they're very white. They're very white. I'll just say that. They're like the phenotype is white. And their mother is white. Their
Mhm.
father is half white. I mean, you can do the math on that. They're 75. You know.
I have a question for you, right?
Sure.
So I want to ask you this question because I've being mixed race, I've spent my time around within the Black community and Black culture, and I'm pretty familiar with it in that sense. Do you believe that, I guess, the Black American culture is distinct from the white American culture?
Um,
I see where he trying to go with this. Yeah, I see where he trying to go with this. Yeah, he finna try to pitch and hold the conversation and back God Logic into a corner. But we're gonna see if God Logic get up out of this because he done already conceded to some nonsense. But we're gonna see.
in a way, yeah.
Would you say, would it be safe to say that predominantly the average Black person you meet on the street is you're going to be able to pick up in their sort of how they articulate, how they talk, we're using our hands, where that person comes from a distinct culture from, say, like suburban, Westchester, Connecticut, or something like that.
100%.
Right. And so I think there's an element of that in the way of like race actually serves as a proxy. Like we can talk about all these examples. Like here's all the elements of compatibility, tradition, custom, where you grew up, which is important for compatibility and certainly an element. And then you have race. And the idea that you like solve for all of these, all things being equal in the Vodi Bakum situation, but like race is the only distinctive. And I would just say experientially is a very, very rare thing. Like I've rarely met a Black person who was like, who had like no sort of ties, if you will, to a distinct culture from.
Hey, real quick, in the comments, because I see Hurrah and Vine Born Ministries having a little. So Vine, are you willing to come up on the live? Y'all can have a conversation in front of the people. We still gonna watch the video, but if y'all want a quick keyboard battling in the comments, y'all can come up and have that conversation. I know Hurrah probably available, but if both of y'all not available, we're not gonna do it. But if y'all want to have that discourse and have that conversation, I'm willing to drop the link in the chat and y'all can come up.
White culture.
He's wearing turtlenecks.
Right. I mean, they exist.
I wear turtlenecks.
Yeah,
there you go.
I would just ask, like, man, are you guys, this is like a Texas thing? Because I think you go to other parts of the country and you'll discover that there's a way more cultural overlap. Meaning, if you come to Oceanside Vista, California, you're gonna have way more in common with a person that went to the same high school group in the same community, listens to the same music, comes from a similar family, comes from the same surf.
That would be what you're describing as like a micro ethnicity, even more particular.
Right,
and you're right.
Yes.
Right. So if people have both grown up, not just in the same nation, but they've both grown up in the same county, or
they're gonna have way more in common. And I only use that as a proxy.
Overlap can be extreme, like a lot of that.
But do you see my point though? I'm saying that those two people are gonna have substantially more in common if they're from the same region than marrying a white woman from Nebraska.
Oh, sure. So if we zoom into, what'd you say, Oceanside, for example, and then you have like
I remember Oceanside.
So Ruslan, the guy that's married to the Black woman, his name is Ruslan. He had a great point. He's basically saying that, hey, if you have Hispanic, Black, white, all people from one area, they would usually have more in common than somebody way in Nebraska of the same ethnicity.
So I've never been there, so forgive me.
Come visit.
Well, maybe I might. But anyway, so
it was nice. It's not as
still
nice.
Doing the Lord's work.
All right.
Yeah. So I say that because I think the disconnect is very broad definitions of the word race. When you meet a lot of people and travel a lot and experience a lot, you'll start discovering that, man, Ethiopian second generation evangelicals are very different than descendants of slaves in America.
Yeah,
You'll
that's right.
discover that Ghanaian people are very different than Ethiopian people.
Yeah.
You'll discover I'm Armenian. My mother's adopted by an Armenian family, but she's Russian. You'll discover there's a lot of difference between Armenians and Russians. You'll discover there's a lot of difference between Armenians and Armenians living in Azerbaijan. And then there's a lot of difference between Armenians from there versus Armenians in Glendale. I have nothing in common with an Armenian woman that grew up in Glendale. We have virtually zero in common culturally, even though we might both be Christian, right? So I think what I'm saying is we're using these really broad definitions for race, which, like, you guys familiar when the word race even made it into the English language approximately?
16th century.
Yeah, 16th century. That's relatively modern, right? So if we're going to rail against the leftists and the liberals for their definitions of gender and and all this nonsense that we're seeing from the left, this is a relatively modern innovation for this broad cast of, hey, there's blacks and there's whites and there's Asians and then maybe a couple of others, but we don't know. Again, it falls apart because it's way more based on ethnicity. This is why we see tribes warring in parts of Africa. This is why you tell a Persian they're Arab and they're going to be very upset at you. You tell an Arab they're Persian or a Turk, they're going to be very upset at you. So I think the distinctions is way more cultural and nuanced.
Hey, now Ruslan is making a very valid points. When I say he's making very valid point, he has a great argument versus the guys on the other side of the table. So some of y'all in the comments, y'all might not agree, and that's fine. But I think he's making a great viewpoint. Because remember, this is a debate. So whether you agree with them or not, it's all about substantiating the point, standing on the point, proving the point against the opposing people that they're having a discussion with. So I think he's doing a great job.
Than just these very broad categories. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Part of the reason I would say that race has, at least the word, the concept, I think it's old, but at least the word has come into, more regular use in language in recent times is partly because of the radical changes that we've made in the world. Like back in the day, when you say this person is of this nation, it tended to mean that he's of the same biological characteristics, cultural characteristics. But now, like, because we have, people have moved and we have tons of people over here and tons of people over there and all the, now, it's, if somebody says, well, I'm American, then the natural question is like, well, what kind of American are you? What kind of American? Mm-hmm. If I can't see them and I can't detect like an accent in their voice, and I just, they're just saying, I'm an American, and I can't see them, I wouldn't really have a clue.
Right. So do you see how it's arbitrary then? Saying I'm an American is no different than someone saying I'm white. What does that even mean? Which white? Irish, Scottish, Italian? There was hierarchies within white folks when they came over. Okay. So what does that even mean? Are Armenians white? I don't know. It depends on who you ask, right? So are Armenians, like, these categories are way more divided when you travel outside of the United States and you start discovering that people are actually Japanese folks don't want to marry Chinese folks, and it has nothing to do with race, zero to do with race.
Well, no, it is, because they're distinct people occupying two different spaces.
But that's not race. That's not race. That's ethnicity and nationality.
They're biologically different from one another. Okay. Whether it be in bone structure.
Yes, but there's white folks that are biologically different. If you go northern, the white folks there love milk. You go south, Europe, the white folks are lactose intolerant. There's all sorts of disparities within races.
Sure, but
but you understand that point. The genetic disparities within race.
Hey, listen, Ruslan is cooking these boys, man. Based on does God approve of interracial marriage? Right now, Ruslan is substantiating his views, and he's giving great responses to back up where he stands in terms of the subject. Like he cooking these boys. They really don't have anything to say because, like you said, listen, there's Chinese people that beef with Chinese people. Chinese people that don't want to mix with Japanese people that don't want to mix with people from the Philippines. Like, they have issues as well, but it's more of a nationality thing, not more so an ethnic thing. So he's making great points.
Oftentimes there's more disparities between white people, right, than there are between a black and a white person
versus between the groups in general.
So like I come from Armenia, right? I'm from the Caucasus Mountains. I am an Armenian from the Caucasus Mountains.
Right.
I'm Caucasian. Yeah. So I'm an original Caucasian.
Hurrah, he is using the Bible. That's not true. He's not using science. He's using the Bible, because When the Bible it strictly says that there is no, they don't acknowledge they even don't even acknowledge gender. The Bible says there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither male nor female. So that's the ideology he's coming from Galatians 3:29.
You guys are all frauds as far as I'm concerned, right? But you talk to some people, and Armenians aren't viewed as white, depending on who you're talking to. Sure. That's the confusing part about all this stuff. And again, if God is a God of order, if God is a God of this is not making stuff confusing, we're now getting into creating restrictions that Scripture does not clearly lay out. And we can get back into the Scripture.
I'm glad you're emphasizing that.
Hey, Harai, when you talk about being lactose intolerant, that's not about science. That's according to your microbiome, right? If I'm born in Costa Rica and I'm going to develop a certain microbiome in gut flora, now that goes into what I do for a living as far as a fitness instructor, right? Because when I do diet plans, I have to do diet plans for certain individuals. And Black people seem to be more biologically lactose intolerant. You understand what I'm saying? But if I get a Black person that was born, let's say in Mexico, and he's around cows and he's getting cows milk straight from the cow, he will 9 times out of 10, and he doesn't have access to all the foods that we have, McDonald's, Burger King, and being able to eat out all the time. His microbiome would usually be compatible to someone that is from that region. So I understand what you're saying, but it's all about the region you grew up in, because your microbiome is a product of the environment.
Distinctiveness and the lack of confusion,
yes.
Because my position, as I laid it out, interracial marriage, if it was normative, let's say 50, 60%, it would destroy those distinctions in a matter of generations. If you brought the people, you said Armenia, I know there's Georgia, kind of to the north of Iran. If you took all of those people and they said, you know what, we're going to do it. It's going to be normative. It's going to be ordinary. If they went ahead and did that, much of the distinctions, all of those distinctions that you're talking about would actually be flattened. You would just kind of then have this group of Eastern Europeans that they didn't really have a identity or something shared from the past. Your parents would go back to the homeland and say, this doesn't look like anything I recognize.
But this already doesn't look like anything we recognize, because we were ethnically cleansed from Azerbaijan because we were Armenians.
Exactly.
Right?
Ethnically cleansing,
not great.
Is a terrible thing that people's undergo.
So you're saying there's ethnic cleansing happening through interbreeding?
Yes, through third world migration into Europe, the rape of white women all across Northern Europe. Yes, you are having, it's traumatic. It's psychological terror for white girls.
Shouldn't be laughed at.
To think that they're going to be raped on the way to school. Like, we all agree, I'm not going to paint you guys badly. You all would agree that that's bad. And we recognize it's especially bad because these people that have nothing in common are coming in, they're from a different religion, perpetuating terror on the native populace.
But again, you're conflating what we're saying, and you can jump in. I don't want to keep going. You're conflating that you think we're arguing for mass migration.
I never said you
or whatever.
I know you're not.
You're pointing to these fringe examples that are awful. What's happening in Europe is terrible. Right. What's happening with the Muslims coming over there that do not assimilate to the culture is not good. That is not what we're talking about. That is not the conversation that's being had. We are talking about making hard lines where the Scripture doesn't have any, based on arbitrary standards that we don't see played out in any sort of society throughout history up until 500 years ago.
I want to go to Avery, but I would just say what I'm arguing, I know you're not for mass migration, but to say interracial marriage should be normative would have the same effect long-term, short-term.
I didn't say it should be normative. You're making the case that you're against it. I said
so. I'm against it being normative because that would be
So what I'm saying is people can have preferences. You want your kids to look white. You want your kids to, you're going to have a bunch of Mariah Careys. I'm not mad at you, okay? If you want that, Joe, you want your daughter. No one's mad at preference. There's a lot of Black folks that want their kids to be Black. No one's mad at preference.
And we haven't said you're mad at us for preference.
No.
I'm mad at you for preference.
Dang it. The issue is when we take preference and we make it prescription. That's the fundamental flaw in your argument.
But real quick, that's on both sides of the table. Just so first, the context, the way that it came up against, because you're right, I use that word against. That's what started the whole. Well, a lot of.
And had you not said against, Joel, I wouldn't have said anything, bro.
Yeah,
you said it's my preference.
So let me.
You crashed out. You crashed out by saying against.
Oh no, I didn't crash out.
You called her retarded. You crashed out, bro.
Oh, she is retarded.
Okay, but you crashed out.
No.
Okay.
The average woman on social media is retarded.
Okay.
Well, next time we'll have you come back and we'll debate that thesis.
Oh wow. That was heavy. That was very heavy. He said the average woman on social media is retarded. Wow, that was that was different. Okay, I wasn't ready for that, y'all. Was y'all ready for that one? That man said the average woman on social media is retarded. Okay, it's a very interesting conversation.
I feel like I don't agree
that big.
Okay,
I might agree with that.
So here's the point. She, there was a tweet. Under Christian nationalism, interracial marriage will merit capital punishment. She responds, this woman who is behaving retardedly, she responds, or somebody says, I wish Elon would show us who liked this tweet. Interracial marriage under Christian nationalism will receive the death sentence. I wish Elon would show us who likes it. And then she responds and says, definitely Joel Webben. And I say, nope. And then she says, are you, and this is verbatim,
are you for or against?
For or against?
Yes.
So given those two choices, for encouraging, promoting, advancing, or against, discouraging, not normative, given those two options, then yes, I would be more against
but you could
than I am for.
But you could have just said, hey, it's my preference is this. Now, let me just add this to the thing. You said that you will lock arms, or you see brothers in Christ that think it's a sin and a perpetual sin.
Not a perpetual sin, but it's a one-time sin.
But, and just to be clear, but would you call brothers in Christ folks who think it is a crime and should be punished by the death penalty? Would you call them brothers in Christ?
It depends. So
because when you were going back and forth with Samuel Say, there was people actually posting that. And again, I don't want to assume these are your buddies.
These aren't people that I know.
Okay, but they're saying, hey,
there's always people posting things.
This would be, punishable by death in a Christian nationalist nation.
Right. No, I'm aware. There are guys who think that.
Are you brothers? Those are your brothers in Christ?
The only guys that I have any kind of relationship with, friendship with, even acquaintance, interaction with, and partnering with in this mission, and it is my mission to achieve Christian nationalism here in these United States of America. All the guys on my team would either be in our category, it's not a sin at all, but it's not normative. It shouldn't be encouraged at the macro level, but it's not a sin. It is permissible. Or they would hold the view, it is a sin likened to unbiblical divorce and then remarriage.
Okay.
Would you condemn, the act is a sin, but once that new marriage has been established, we would say that is a valid.
Like, I don't think he realizes that what Ruzan said, that the lady said, and that the whole entire tweet was saying that interracial marriage should be punishable by the death penalty. And then the follow-up question was, would you encourage or discourage interracial marriages? So if interracial marriage should be punishable by the death penalty, if you discourage, so he started playing with the literal definition of discourage and encourage, right? To get away from the entire premise of the question, which was the death penalty. No, I would not discourage. Give the definition to try to go around the whole question that set the whole tone for him to even give an answer in the first place, which was, if you integrated or married outside of your race, that you should receive the death penalty. He think he's slick. He think he's slick. And they let them slide. This is crazy.
Would you rebuke or condemn anyone who's pushing for the death of people that are in an interracial marriage? Would you not call them?
I'm not going to police the internet. Okay. I'm not going to you're
comfortable with it.
D's nuts Groiper 447. I'm not going to be in the chat. Like I'm not James.
Bigger platform.
I'm not James White.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like he has time to do a dividing line over people with 15 followers on Twitter and call them out. But I don't have time for that.
No, but would you categorically condemn it?
Yes.
What?
The idea that I should be executed as a Christian nationalist state, you would condemn that.
Yes,
okay, thank you.
But that wasn't the original question. The first question was, is that person a Christian? That was your first question.
What do you think?
So I would condemn it in the same way I would condemn sexual immorality, any sin. I condemn any sin,
okay, cool.
But not every sin makes someone an unbeliever. And so what you're asking is whether or not I believe anybody could hold that position and still be regenerate.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I actually think
I said
that
if you would call him a brother in Christ, but
that's
sure.
what you said,
Yeah.
regenerate brother in Christ. I feel like that's pretty much the same. And so that's why I was hesitant. Let
Got
the
it.
record state. I wasn't hesitant because I'm like trying to carve out, you know,
Got it.
allowances.
I meant condemning the mindset.
Yes, I
okay.
would say
He lying, y'all. Don't you know we see you? They are letting this man slide. They not holding him to what he said. That's crazy.
Thank you.
I would say, brother, that's not helpful.
Okay.
I think that's immoral. I don't support that. I don't think you should be saying that. But would I say for sure that person who just said that
I, the
is not a
Protestant
Christian?
Pope, have ruled.
No, that's fair. Go ahead.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
No, I want to get into some of the scriptural things that we were talking about. So because again, like we were talking about God's normative original design.
Yeah.
Whether or not interracial marriages goes against that.
Right.
So I would like to hear a scriptural basis for.
All right, so now they're gonna actually about to pull out the Bible, y'all, and they're gonna try to substantiate their side, their point, their perspective with the Bible. So, regardless if you don't subscribe to the Bible, regardless of if you don't agree with their ideology, let's see who proves their point with the scripture, not from how you present it, how they are presenting it. That's what a debate is about. But I will do the referendum.
What God's original design is. Do we have a verse that tells us, you know,
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's what.
So here's how I would respond. Are you pro polygamy?
Am I pro polygamy? No, I'm not.
No. Would you be against?
Yeah, I'm
Would you
against.
use that strong of language?
Yeah, I would say I'm against
He
polygamy.
would say against. Who says against? Oh, I do. So you would say against. Now, I love the scriptures that you brought up because it's perfect for our argument. So you said Solomon, for instance, he had many wives and many concubines, and you were emphasizing, and rightly so, I agree with your argument, that the big problem with Solomon and all these wives was that they were foreign and had a different skin color. No, they worshiped foreign gods, and they turned his heart away. The big problem that made it actually sinful in the case of Solomon was that he was not, even as king, permitted to marry foreign wives who were pagans, who worshiped foreign gods. So it was a spiritual problem, a spiritual adultery, and it ultimately turned his heart away. But here's the point. So we could point to, for instance, now going to like Ezra, right? Because then you like, there's a polygamous example, but then you gave interracial examples, Ezra 9, Ezra 10, Nehemiah 13. And what you were saying is, look, it's not about the fact that they're a different race. It's the fact, right? What is actually being condemned here? And you did a good job. I agree with you. What's really being condemned here is that these people of a foreign race, they're not Christian. They worship foreign gods. It's their spiritual idolatry. So this is what I would say. If we're logical, if we're being consistent, we can say, well, what's expressly condemned in scripture is marrying someone of another race only in the instance that they actually are worshiping a false god. It's idolatry, marrying not in the Lord, marrying someone who's not a Christian. So then I would use that, and I can make the same argument and say polygamy is permissible. Because only what's condemned in scripture, there's no scripture that condemns polygamy inherently, outright. But what's condemned is someone like Solomon.
So remember, they're in a debate, and he fighting back. That's all I'm gonna say. He's fighting back right now. He's fighting back. He's using polygamy to substantiate his and back up his point to try to push God logic in the corner of allowing him to stand on his square when it comes to stand with your own people. So we're gonna see how this playing out. I see the angle he going. Remember, y'all, this is a debate. This is not about right or wrong. A debate is only about proving what your point, regardless if it's the truth or not. So you got to understand the ideology and the premise of debating.
Who in his many marriages, that's not inherently condemned. What's specifically condemned is that some of those marriages, in his case, many of them, were to foreign wives who worship foreign gods. So I would use that same logic, and I would say, just like I said, interracial marriage is biblically permissible, but that it generally goes against God's ordinary or normative design for cultures, peoples, and nations. I could say the same thing.
You can say the same thing about
polygamy is biblically permissible, but it ordinarily goes against. Right? So if I'm in a Muslim nation, a guy comes to the Lord, I'm not going to tell him if he has 5 wives that he has to divorce 4 of them. What I will tell him, per scripture, right? We're getting to something that is explicit in scripture. Per First Timothy chapter 3, Titus chapter 1, I'll say, I'm sorry, you can't be an elder.
Yeah.
Elder must be. But I actually would not say polygamy is inherently sinful.
Yeah. So here is the thing. So we're categorizing polygamy as the exception to the rule in the same way that we're categorizing interracial.
So his whole point is polygamy is not inherently sinful. So if I want to stick to my people and my people only, that's not inherently sinful. So he's making a great argument.
Marriage is the exception to the rule. The issue with this, Joe, is when you look at the New Testament scripture, there are prescriptions for someone in leadership. Yes, but those are prescriptions for anybody. That's an elder, deacon. That's how all Christian men
all Christians should be. An elder must be.
Yes. And so they should be one woman men. So now what you're doing is with polygamy, it is permitted, but then it's
that's not true. Ruslan, that's not true. That's not true.
Clearly clarified in the New Testament that this is not a prescription. This is not okay because we see evidence of that. The same thing for Rahab's lying. We're not going to say, well, lying is permitted because Rahab lied and therefore lying. No. We're going to see that generally speaking, Old and New Testament, there's prohibitions against lying. So we see something that's here. You don't then do that. So the epistles would have to then be clear in the same way they're clear about polygamy to not allow mixed race or mixed ethnic or whatever you want to call it marriage. We don't see that when he's writing to mixed ethnic churches.
Absolutely. The scripture would have to be clear in its condemnation of interracial marriage if we were to take a position of saying that it's sin.
Yeah,
fortunately, we don't.
No. In saying that's against,
it's against God's
design, because polygamy is against God's design, and we see
the scripture is not
standard of prescription for polygamy not being within God's design.
But the scripture does not ever condemn polygamy.
It doesn't have to,
and yet you would say that polygamy goes against the
right
normative design.
Yes, so, because it prescribes. Go ahead.
So when it says that an elder should be a man of one wife, you're saying that that's not a direct, explicit standard that the Bible is setting, that it's
for
supposed to be.
Men?
Yeah. For all.
No, God logic is not. You can see one thing about having these discussions. You got to get out your feelings. Right? It's not a prescription for men to be with one woman. I'm sorry. I don't care. You cannot make him say that. You're trying, but you can't.
I'm saying that is a standard that is reserved for elders. An elder must be. Here's another example. We can.
You're going to attract a lot of polygamists at your church after this, right? Because there's a growing movement of polygamists.
There is a growing movement.
What's that verse about?
And I've engaged with those people. What? 1 Timothy 3?
1 Timothy
3 and Titus.
Here's another one that we could use, and we can put it in the same mold that we're using, right? The same thesis statement, our prompt for today's debate. You could do it with interracial marriage. You could do it with polygamy. Here's another one: slavery. Do you think that slavery is good, positive, should be promoted, should be encouraged? That you are for slavery, that it should be normative?
Well, it depends on the type of slavery we're talking about. If we're talking about the biblical slavery, that will.
Now we're getting touchy now.
Was indentured servitude. I think that is fine. You can give yourself to someone and say, hey, I will give my service to you in exchange for living, food, and stuff like that. I think that's okay. When it comes to like chattel slavery, I think that is expressly condemned in scripture. Exodus 21:16 says if a man steals somebody from
stealing,
so
punishable by death. That said, though, real quick, one of the things that you use some of the verses to say you shouldn't treat the foreigner, right, the sojourner, any different. But there are other passages of scripture that say you could charge interest to a foreigner, right? So you have a disposition of hospitality towards a foreigner, and yet you could charge him interest on a loan, but you cannot charge your brother interest. Another thing, in terms of indentured servanthood, that particularly pertained to Israel, to fellow Israelites. You could not own them indefinitely. There was a limit of terms, these kinds of things, whereas the slavery that was permitted in the Old Testament for a non-Hebrew brother owning someone who was a foreigner from a different nation, it actually allowed for longer terms of slavery, those kinds of things. So my question is would you want that to be normative? Because God allows for it, but I would argue that it shouldn't be normative.
Yeah.
I am a not normative polygamy guy. I'm a not normative slavery guy. I want the record to clearly state. Joel thinks ordinarily that slavery goes against God's normative design. Ordinarily, polygamy goes against God's normative design.
Okay, so I want to get back to that, if you mind holding that off, because
Sure.
I wanted to talk about the verse about the elder, and then we could jump right
Okay.
back to the
All right.
example. Is that okay?
Yep.
So it says here that an overseer then must be above reproach. Now, I want to stop here. Would you agree that would go for all believers, that all believers should be above reproach?
All believers should strive to be above reproach. Yeah.
Okay. So all believers should strive to be above reproach, which means, and then it kind of breaks down what that means. The husband of one wife, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not addicted to wine or pugnacious, whatever that word means, but considerate, peaceable, free from the love of money, leading his own household well, having his children in submission with all dignity. So would you say that these would be general Christ-like values that every believer should hold to and strive to have?
So no, not it. I don't believe that the list in 1 Timothy 3 or Titus 1 is an exhaustive list, just like the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians. I don't believe is exhaustive. I don't believe there's only 9 manifestations of the Spirit, love, joy, peace.
Right. Of course.
It's not an exhaustive list. So number one, I don't believe the qualifications are exhaustive. And number two, I don't believe that all the qualifications are necessarily put forward as moral standards.
You know, this is a very funny debate. It's very manipulative. That's the term I want to use. It's very manipulative, and if you don't know your Bible, it's easy. I see how a lot of people got deceived by preachers and religion, and you know. But the one thing that people always try to do is take people like this who manipulate the scriptures for a specific agenda to carry out a certain task and make it seem like God is bad, or that God did something to people, or God enslaved people, or God allowed people to be enslaved in the context like that was and I'm talking about black people in America. So it's just kind of funny how you can just see how people sit up and have a conversation, use the Bible, use the ideology, and be 100% manipulative.
Is that all Christian men should be, but an elder must be. I would say that that's generally true about most of the things that Paul lists or that he names in this list of qualifications. But I don't feel like there's a way to definitively say that every single one of them exhaustively falls in the mind of the Spirit inspiring the Apostle Paul in writing this. It could be that he's saying, well, in the case of a man who is an elder.
Hey, Taylor, 100%. You're 100% correct.
The reason why he should have one wife is because it is permissible to have multiple wives, but it best displays the marriage between Christ and the church, and Christ having one bride, or also just practically speaking, if he's going to care for the house of God, in a sense, he's married to the church, not in the ultimate sense that Christ is married to the church, but he's taking the church as kind of a friend of the bridegroom and caring for her diligently and all these things, for him to have on top of those immense duties and responsibilities to the church, to have also multiple wives that he needs to care for, also simply practically imprudent. So no, I don't think that you can look at that and say every single one of these equally or even inclusively should be for Christian men.
That term pugnacious also too in the text, it's closer to like a brawler. So some of the translations render it like striving or argumentative.
Okay.
What it most closely means is someone who kind of just punches his way out of things. But you can imagine a Christian who is in the military, for example. He's not qualified to be an elder. He's not reserved for that calling. But he himself, like that man gets in there, he establishes order. Same thing. Hey, this man was Muslim. He converted. He has 4 wives. So I think there's multiple qualifications in there that are not necessarily the moral standard that's upheld, but for this specific office, an overseer and a caretaker of Christ's sheep. It says in this one, some may have it, and that's understandable, but this one he can't have.
So you don't think that it's describing a moral character of an overseer? Like these are moral characteristics that he should uphold.
Like I just said, I think that it is describing that list is Those qualifications, I would say that the vast majority of them are pointing towards moral indicators, character. But I don't think it's only character.
I would agree. So I would agree that it's included, and that's the big picture of it. So I'm asking, when in regards to the character that it's presenting, should Christians strive to be what this is describing overseer should be?
Again, like I said, I think that to say that to steamroll the list and to say that they're all exactly the same, they're all moral goals to be strived after, I think you can't really prove that.
So which one of these would you say is not a moral goal to strive after? A husband of one wife, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not addicted to wine or pugnacious, considerate.
Well, able to teach, for instance. So I think every man should pursue knowledge of Christ, knowledge of the word, as much as he's able to. But there are some men who simply will not have the mental capacity to be able to teach others. And it doesn't mean that they're in a moral failure. It doesn't mean that they're in sin because they're not qualified.
Just a skill they don't have.
Yeah.
Right. But you would you agree that every man should at least strive to be a teacher of their household?
Yeah, every man should be a resident theologian if he's a married man. Yeah.
So notice, like, and that's
to the best of his ability.
Yeah.
And that's going to vary greatly.
Of course. So he's not going to be the best, maybe, but he should strive to be able.
Ain't gonna be no Joe Webber.
Yeah, he ain't gonna be no Joe Webber. But he can strive to be a teacher in his household, right? And that is him upholding the moral character as the man and the head of the household that God has ordained him to be.
Amen.
Right. Okay. So we're going through these. All of these are moral characteristics that God requires all of us to have, especially as men. He requires all of us to.
And those are basic characteristics, right? Like it's simple things that our parents and grandparents instilled in us. And if you would just go by this, treat others like you want to be treated, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. If you just live by those two basic statements, like you could coast through this life, like straight up.
He doesn't demand it like you have to be the best in every category, but these are things that every Christian ought to exemplify, especially Christian men with their household, with their peers, whatever. And so I would say that being the husband of one wife is included in that category. That exemplifies a moral character.
Should every Christian ought to be against slavery?
You're talking about chattel slavery?
Yo, he fighting back, man. The white guy fighting back. God logic, I see what he did there, and the white boy swung right back. He swung right back at him, man. Hold on. Well, I mean the Caucasian man. Let me not say white boy because people might take that the wrong way. The Caucasian brother swung back. Y'all watch this.
Well, I think there's a lot of distance, just for the record. I'm against chattel slavery. Let the record stay. But I think there's a lot of distance in between black people kidnapping and man-stealing black people and then lining them on the coast and selling them to white people and some Jews, and then transporting them, and they're slaves for life, and their children are slaves, and separating families and those kinds of things. There's a lot of difference between that, if we're using that as chattel slavery, and a 6-year indentured servanthood. Right. So there's a lot of distance. So
I agree.
What about another form of slavery, which I believe was permissible for the Israelites, that the Bible teaches when it came to not owning their own Hebrew brother, but owning someone from a foreign nation who was in their camp?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
I would just say Scripture has to interpret Scripture. I would say we see polygamy, we see negative descriptions of polygamy, and then we see one woman man. We see slavery, we see the slave Bible, which was what was given to African Americans, removing the story of Exodus, removing a lot of passages. And then we see Philemon, I think I said that right. Chapter 1, Paul is saying, if you consider me a partner, welcome him as you would welcome me. And Paul is writing to release a slave that was a brother in Christ, right? So what do we see? We see a narrative of slavery in Egypt, and then we see a New Testament recontextualization of slavery, of polygamy, of lying. But you fill in the thing. These little mixed areas that I think are incoherent. We see these things clarified in the New Testament
But we also
scriptures.
see the same Paul in Ephesians, who doesn't say, masters, release your slaves, but tells masters to rule righteously over their slaves.
Yeah.
So we also see that.
Yeah. We see that. So again, what do we mean by slaves? You were talking about a very specific type of slavery. I responded to the broader context around slavery with this book, which again, Slave Bible that was given to Black folks, took out a lot of these passages intentionally so folks wouldn't be fully aware of these things. So I think that this entire premise of slavery, it doesn't square up, because you're talking about different types of slavery and all this sort of stuff. And again, we're saying there's enough in here in the New Testament to say it seems like this is generally against the type of chattel slavery we've seen, and a lot of the folks that fought for the abolishing of slavery,
It's explicit.
We're Christian.
It says enslavers.
Yes,
won't
and so if you're going to put a
inherit.
restriction,
It's funny how he used the New Testament to the abolishing of slavery and just gonna look over that big time frame that's in between those two experiences. That's crazy.
on interracial marriage, interethnic marriage, whatever you want to call it, you have to make this case from the scripture, Joel, and you just haven't been able to do that, brother.
So,
not New Testament. Not
I
Old
would
Testament.
just say that with slavery, again, I'm saying it shouldn't be normative. I am not pro slavery, so I don't think that it should be encouraged, promoted, those kinds of things. But I am saying that it is biblically permissible. It is.
Yeah, which Avery already granted.
Now, same thing, let's apply it to interracial marriage. So you're saying, well, interracial marriage, because you said, well, in the case of slavery, there's these bad examples, or you said polygamy. There's, a lot of the polygamous cases.
There's descriptive passages, and then there's New Testament prescriptive passages saying one woman, man.
Yeah.
We don't
For
have
an elder.
anything like
For
that
an
for
elder.
interethnic
Not just
marriage.
that.
It's not just for an elder.
Yeah.
You conceded that that's good moral character for everyone
No, I
to
did not
strive to.
concede that.
What?
I did not concede that.
Joe.
Oh, come on.
I thought I worked hard for that, man.
No,
Rewind the tape, guys. Everyone can rewind the tape.
I said multiple times, I don't believe it's an exhaustive list. And no, I don't believe that every
Hey, the Caucasian brother is correct. He did not concede to that. He did not concede. He's telling the truth. They thought they had him, but they didn't. He's swinging, y'all. He's swinging back. I'm telling y'all, listen, I'm being objective. I'm not on nobody's side. I'm reviewing this, just listening, because it's a great conversation. It's a conversation that's actually needed, in my opinion. Like, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I know a lot of time we like a bunch of entertainment, we like a bunch of ratchetness, but at the core of my being, I'm an intellectual. So I'm actually enjoying this conversation, and I'm not going to be biased. They're opening statements. I believe that the guy, Ruslan and God Logic came out swinging, but they backed the Caucasian brother in a corner, and he's fighting back. He's swinging back. I'm telling you.
single one of the qualifications listed there is a should be. I believe that on the whole, that many of those qualifications do refer to character, good Christian character, and therefore an elder must be, and a Christian man should be.
I can't let you have this. I'm sorry, Joe.
So every man has to be able to teach. If he meets every other
you should strive. You should strive
priest
of your household.
He
Even
needs to quit his construction. Not quit.
No,
His,
No,
that's not what
that's
we're
not
saying.
what
He needs to go.
he needs to come home from his construction job with 4 kids.
That's not what I'm
and
saying.
at
That's
night
not-
he needs to be
okay.
learning to teach.
Okay,
No.
If
so-
all of those are good moral character and he has every other one, and that is the last one, and he is a bumbling idiot when he gets up in front of people, then if those are all moral qualifications,
No, what he's saying, no. What they're saying is the Bible does say, let me say this. There's a lot of preachers that are out of line. The Bible literally says that if you do not have your house in order as a husband, you should not be in the pulpit preaching. Now, what God Logic and Ruslan is trying to convey is that, hey, you should be a teacher of your household. And that's true. Every man should be the priest of his household. Every man should have his house in order. Husband, wife, children in line. The order is moving in harmony. If your kids are out and about, being disrespectful, not lining up with your message, not lining up with your ministry of your household, then you are not fit to be a pastor or preacher or a leader in the church. You should not be in front of the church if you don't have your house in order. 100%.
then he would need to apply himself to develop that moral character.
What is-
which you would say he's not made to teach.
What is a man's priority? Is it his family or his construction job?
Well, the construction job is a means to feeding his family.
That's not what I asked.
You posed a false dichotomy between those two things.
No, he brought this up.
One is a means to fulfilling his.
All right, God Logic got him. Now, God Logic hit him with a body shot. Got him. Boom. Yeah, I didn't say that. He didn't say that. And you're trying to change the narrative. You're trying to move the goalpost. So God Logic, yeah, he fighting. Okay, he steady applying pressure. He got him in the corner, y'all. Listen, I'm using the boxing analogy to review this live. So right now, God Logic got him in the corner. Boom, one to the body. He got
his duties for the other.
And
Yeah,
he
they're
can,
not
and
in
he can find
conflict.
others.
They're not in conflict.
So I didn't ask
Family, and then the job.
Yes, there's a
is the
hierarchy of
priority of the
priorities.
family.
There's a
So
hierarchy of
so which is the priority? Is it your family or is it
it's the
your
family.
job?
It's not
Is-
an or.
It is.
No, it's not. So is a man in sin if he spends 10 hours, 5 days a week at work, but only an average of 2 to 3 hours with his children?
Which one's the priority?
If
Hold on.
his
What's the
family
priority?
is suffering,
Mhm.
he needs to figure out to pivot and learn to do something else.
Yeah.
The vast majority of men throughout history had to work long days, hard labor to provide for their family. Were they all in sin? They spent more time at work than they did with their
No.
children.
Let me ask this, okay?
No, so what? He's being disingenuous right now. Now the Caucasian guy's being disingenuous. I could be at work for 15, 16 hours a day, but as long as the order that I set in that house is still and everybody's in alignment, then I'm still putting my family first because my family is not in disarray. So as long as the expectation that I have is being met, even when I'm away, but the house is functioning just like I'm inside of the house and I'm not even there, then my house is still in order.
Let's switch the roles a little bit. Let's say he at work, he's doing just fine. Like his hours and everything, his funds is good enough to meet the means. They're doing just fine. However, he's choosing to stay at work even more when he doesn't have to and not pouring into his family. Is he in sin then?
That's different.
I know.
That's different.
So, okay. So why is that different though? Because we agree with that, but
Because then
break
the
that down.
job is no longer, now it actually is a dichotomy, not a false one. The job is no longer a means to serving and providing for his family,
Mhm.
but now he's going beyond. The job has served its means for the family,
Yeah.
and now I'm just staying for the fun of it.
It's 3
Right.
hours at home. Nope, I'm staying 3 hours more at work,
Exactly.
baby.
So
for
would we,
no extra pay.
So
no-
would,
yeah.
so will we agree that a man who he's working hard, making ends meet, so he's doing that, and also when he comes home, he should be able to spiritually guide the family. That's his job,
Are
right?
you the priest of your home or you're not? I don't care if you work construction. I don't care if you stream. Are you the priest and the pastor of your home?
You
or
are
not?
positionally every husband / father is the priest.
So
of
he
his
ought to
home.
be able to
by
teach.
office. By
Yes.
office.
Yes.
Not every man. So every man by office formally is in that position as pastor of his home, priest of his home. However, not every man is inherently in sin with a moral culpability if he's not particularly good in his ability to theologically teach.
We're
the
not.
family.
I agree. We already did this. So we're not talking about skill level. We're talking about the striving of achieving this character that God has laid out for the man of the household. So if he doesn't have the skill to teach, right? Let's say he's not even a great speaker like that, but he should strive to be doctrinally and theologically sound and guide his family in God's character and in God's teachings and his word, right?
For thousands of years, the church was sustained by men who couldn't read and couldn't write prior to the Reformation,
The Bible
who
wasn't
went to
even in their
church on
language.
Sunday. They had no Bible. They had no doctrine. They were sustained by the preaching of the word on Sunday. So we can't take something that is required of elders, able to teach, and say all men across all times and all contexts must possess this quality as a moral character. In the same way with polygamy, because it's not condemned elsewhere in the New Testament, we would also say, okay, ultimately this one, you shouldn't willingly enter it. In America, it's even illegal. So contextually, this is against the law, obey the authorities. But we can't go so far as to say, and here's a New Testament verse condemning all occasions, no matter
So
what.
one more
Real quick, polygamy is not condemned anywhere in the New Testament, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that you guys are saying, well, the burden of proof is on you, Joel and company, because there's no clear condemnation passages of interracial marriage, right? And so I'm saying, so then there's no clear condemnation passages in the Old or New Testament of polygamy. So I feel like your position is that you guys, you're not against, I'm saying generally against
he's using polygamy again, like I said before, to prove his point. That if God is not just solely condemning this, God is not solely condemning interracial marriage. So that's why the whole polygamy context narrative is even being talked about in the first place. So he's using a very smart tactic in this debate.
And you're like, well, we're generally for, right? That's the only other option when it comes to interracial marriage. Well, I think you have to apply that. And you're saying the reason you take your position is because there's the burden of proof is on us. There's no clear condemnation of interracial marriage in the New Testament or the Old Testament. Well, there's also no clear condemnation of polygamy in the Old Testament or the New Testament. So you should be consistent and take the same position, right? That you're taking on interracial marriage, saying we're generally for. I think you should generally be for polygamy.
There's positive examples. Abraham, David. I mean, I know it created tension, but like multiple men had these multiple wives, and they were wrong.
Yeah, but if we're giving positive examples, think about this in terms of numbers, not just instances in scripture like a chapter, right? But think of just raw numeric numbers. Okay, so there are positive examples. Ruth, right? Moses's wife, Rahab. But you brought up Ezra chapter 9 and 10 and Nehemiah 13. In that case, it's like, well, it's only one case. Over here, we have Ruth, we have Rahab, we have Moses' 3 cases. Okay, but this one case over here was thousands of women and children being sent away.
I think it was like 150. It wasn't thousands. It was way less than that, Joel. You're exaggerating.
Okay, it's a lot. Okay. It's a lot.
Out of the population, it's tens of thousands in that population.
I want
not thousands.
I want to respond to this really quick, man, because I feel like you guys are missing our point. It's not simply that the scripture doesn't explicitly or directly condemn interracial marriage. So therefore, and see, we have examples. So therefore, this doesn't go against God. No, we have explicit examples. We have explicit verses that go that support interracial marriage, or like for example, we gave the verse where in 1 Corinthians.
Okay, so the Caucasian brother was trying to fight himself out the corner. But I think God just finna try to put him right back in the corner. So I see where he's going with it. So he's saying that, hey, polygamy was not inherently condemned. Interracial marriage was not inherently condemned. But then God logic is going to say, I beg to differ. There is scriptures that we can prove where interracial marriage was actually prohibited. I mean, not prohibited. It was condoned. It was not prohibited. That's what I want. That's what I meant to say.
7, where it says that a woman can marry whoever she wants, and the only stipulation is that as long as it's in the Lord.
And he's writing to a mixed ethnic church.
And so
that's what Corinth was.
Wait, just let me say this and then I'll shut up, I promise. So and in that chapter, you have in 1 Corinthians 7, it's saying that every man should have his own wife, singular, and every woman should have her own husband, singular. That's in verse 2 and 3. So we're having explicit verses, Deuteronomy 17:17, that a king should not have many wives, right? So we got Old Testament, we got the New Testament that's given different passages. This is why a man leaves his mother and father, cleaves to his wife, singular, and the two shall be one flesh. We have these verses that's supporting that. This is why, and that goes against husband.
Yeah, but that's not condemning though. That's not going to send somebody to hell. So that's their point. So God logic, his rebuttal, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not proving anything.
Of one wife, the overseer of whatever. And every Christian should reflect this. This is our point, where we have verses that clearly show what we're saying. There's not a single verse that shows what you guys are saying.
Not in the New Testament, not even close in the New Testament.
I want to we can stay on this topic of I think 1 Corinthians 7, marry as in the Lord. I have a question for you, which is, would you discourage or encourage your daughter to marry when she's, let's say 18, 20, pick some age, to marry a 60-year-old man?
A 60-year-old man? Mm-hmm.
There's no standard in scripture for it.
But she's free to marry in the Lord.
One of the Lord. You're absolutely right. I wouldn't say that she's wrong in doing that. I would just
would you discourage her or encourage her?
I would discourage
on
that
what basis?
Based on no objective basis, just my preference.
Well, no, natural law has revealed that pairing is unsuited, that it's a man so far advanced in experience and all of these different things.
No.
And a girl so young
he can
that you would.
What's your you said based on your preference? What's your preference based on?
Yeah, so I would think that normally
he's slick. He's slick. He want to use an old man and use his preference to justify that, hey, well, if I want my daughter to deal with only a white man or a Caucasian man or a man of the same ethnicity, that's my preference. Listen, man. Hey, they think they slick. They fighting back, though.
A 60-year-old and a 25-year-old wouldn't really have much in common. They wouldn't really be
normally, one might say ordinarily.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So, but notice this. Notice I'm not saying that this necessarily goes against God's design, because this is my own preference. I don't have a scripture backing up what I'm saying. So I could, if she insists, I can't say, well, daughter, you're going against God's natural normative design. I can't say that.
But we're Christians.
You can.
Yeah.
You can, because God has written 2 books, not merely one. He has special revelation, that which is inscripturated, but we also have natural revelation. God has given us reason. He has not made us witless beasts. He has made us intelligent. We're able to exercise rationale. And we know that it's not mere preference. It's not arbitrary. It's not capricious. We know that there is actually a natural, logical reason why we would not encourage our 18.
Listen, they were so disingenuous, but God, he came up out of it. He put him back in that corner again. Now he just swinging, man. He's swinging. He trying to fight back, but he been disingenuous for sure.
Year-old daughter to marry a 60-year-old man, even if he's Christian. So we would actually discourage. We would discourage it based on reason, based on natural law.
We shouldn't be arbitrary in that way as Christians.
Yeah. So the dude that coined all of this, Thomas Aquinas, this is what he said: difference of race or nation does not impede marriage, for such difference does not belong to the law of nature. So the guy that you're quoting, natural law, natural this, maybe there's some distinction in theonomy in your version of natural law, but the guy that coined it, Thomas Aquinas, made no reservations on this. And I can go quote after quote. We have Martin Luther: marriage is a worldly thing. Christians are free to marry wherever there is faith and love. And I can give you a ton of quotes from church history.
Aquinas over and over again also emphasized that similarity was the bedrock of societal organization. So I agree that he said
similarly,
that. I think he's a little bit off.
Same city, same background.
They share
same socioeconomic experience, same faith in Jesus as the primary priority.
They look the same as well. Those bases.
No. You snuck that in. No one said anything. Look about it. Thomas Aquinas said they have to look the same.
Not that they have to look the same, but all of these things as a constellation form a shared unity. One of the reasons, and you can see this in different studies about when kids are adopted, one of the reasons that I'm so drawn to my children and I love them is there's a similarity to me in them, that I see in them a reflection of my parents and
you and your kids.
Absolutely. But at scale.
Bodhi Bakum even said this. People asked him, do you love your natural biological children, which he had 2, more than your adopted 7 boys? And he said, no, I don't love my natural born children more. He said, but I have to work harder.
Okay,
be more intentional.
You just conflated.
That's crazy. I don't believe that I could love any other child or kids the same like my own biological kids. I'm sorry. I don't see that, but okay.
Adopted
because I don't
children
have the
with biological children. My children are biologically mine. Your children are biologically yours. They don't look exactly like you. They look more white, but you still love them.
But zoom out at the corporate level and with people that are bound together by all of these different things we share, and appearance and semblance and the shared identity is one of those things. That's so the same guy that said that, we would have some distinctions or nuances. We distinguish, as Turretin would kind of say in his institutes, we distinguish with that quote that Aquinas has on marriage and nature. We would say he's also the one that said, very much so, a people that are similar in all these ways is the bedrock of a people that have cohesion, that love their land, that love the fathers, that are patriotic. So I don't think he's just full-blown saying
you could have cohesion without looking the same. And no one's talking about flat, and no one's talking about you can have cohesion without
some level
looking the same. Yes, you can.
But at certain level, if all of a sudden you through interracial marriage over time, there's just a bunch of people that share this space, and then because these have a different group of ancestors and these have married into the peoples that immigrated from the north, you would start to end up with disparity in history.
But you have that in Europe, dude. You have different
disparities. Part of the problem.
It's part of the problem that white people you would generalize as white, all have disparities within their own ethnic backgrounds and their own DNA.
Well, I was
These
thinking
folks are
mostly
lactose.
of third world immigration that people have
Okay,
come in.
well, we're
that
not
look
talking about
very
third
much
world.
so
I'm just saying
different.
there's disparities and differences within white people. There's disparity and different. There's tribes in Africa where everyone's super tall, and there's tribes in Africa where everyone's super short. There's disparities amongst the same race.
Yes, I understand that there is a big argument that's often made that there's more variation within the group than there is between the group. But I just would simply say that defeats common sense. And also we see the French, generally, they've developed everything characteristic of themselves, and it's over and against and unique from the Germans that are right there and the English that are above them. All these peoples eventually develop their own distinct identity.
Yeah, but you're conflating all of them as the same race. That's the issue.
They all are the J.
But they're all
Europeans.
different, and they have very little in common.
Yeah, different ethnicities.
Yes,
right.
Different ethnicities.
And
different
interracial
nationalities.
marriage at scale would destroy those differences.
So you're against a German dude and a French girl getting married?
At scale is what I'm talking about.
At scale.
So if that happened,
Okay.
you would have kind of a French,
So
German. They would lose.
I don't want to
So
see
the
the
flags
French
and the habits and the
eradicated.
language.
But what is your you guys done your ancestry, your 23andMe? What is your guys' DNA?
I can trace my family line all the way back on my dad's side to about the 1200s in Britain, and then mostly German on my mom's side.
So you're mixed, dude. Based on your arbitrary standard of
Yes.
saying German
In a
and British,
process
you're
called
mixed.
ethnogenesis.
Well, he has a point, sir. You're mixed. You're an immigrant, technically.
In which the British and the Germans came to the United States and formed a new ethnicity, under the hardship, under the pioneer conditions of the American frontier. Yes, that was called ethnogenesis, and it took the European peoples. John Jay talks about this.
So they spread out, then they separate, and then they come back together.
Right. But notice the difference. They didn't mix all of there. That the Irish crossed over to Germany and the English came down to France. No, they came here to the frontier, and ethnogenesis, a new people, a new American race is in the process of being formed. So I'm not mixed in the same.
So we're going to forget about the original foundation of Black Americans. We're just going to, okay, all right.
Way of, well, India came to Ireland with millions and millions of people, and now they carry no characteristics of either. Red hair is gone. No, I'm a offspring of a European ethnogenesis that came to America and settled it.
And that's all fine, man. But I just see Ephesians 2:15 that says, by setting aside in his flesh the law with its commands and regulations, his purpose was to create in himself one new humanity.
His what?
His flesh.
His purpose?
Yeah, his purpose. His purpose was to create in himself one new humanity out of the two, thus making peace.
So Jesus is going against God's original design.
That's just a category error. We're not talking about salvation, guys. We're not talking about heavenly life. We're not talking about those things which are spiritual and ultimate. We're talking about temporal categories here that are earthly.
Temporal, arbitrary categories.
Everybody loves Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. Every tribe, tongue, and nation.
It's going to
be around. It's going to be around, right? The Lamb, worshiping him together. Guess what? We love that too. You will not have diversity in heaven if you mix everything here on earth.
No one's arguing for mixing everything here on earth. What?
If it's normative, that's
what happens. That's what happens.
You're saying it's not normative. I'm saying people can choose and have their preferences.
It doesn't go against God's
We're
design.
saying it doesn't go against God's design. You're saying it does. I'm saying people can marry whoever they want to. And if you want your kids to look like you and grandkids and white babies, I'm not mad at you at that.
Right.
The issue is when you go the extra mile and say, I'm against. Well, this is the Martin Bailey fallacy. It's like you're arguing like an atheist. God doesn't exist. And then you press and you go, well, I just lack faith in God. I'm a non-combative non-believer. Okay, so you're backdooring a harsher premise than just saying if you have a preference, just say you have a preference. But if you want to nuance it to that, just
we're not
nuance
doing
it
a
to
Martin
that.
Bailey. I'm sticking to the tweet that kicked off this whole controversy.
That you're against it.
That's right. Yes.
You have as a pastor, you have no basis of that on scripture. You've repeatedly failed to give us one New Testament example to churches that have been written to mixed ethnic churches. You haven't given us one New Testament
example. Which is why I don't condemn it. The Bible does not condemn it. It is biblically permissible. It is biblically permissible.
That's incoherent.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I skipped the hour because I already listened to the first hour, and now as I'm looking into the second hour, I stopped the video. Literally, it's at 2 hours. And based on the last comments that both sides made in their argument, what's the point of even having this conversation then? Like, I see the contention. But now I'm at a point, based off their last statements, what's the point of even having this debate? I'm gonna put a little bit more. If they don't go in a good direction, I'm gonna shut it down.
Joel.
No, it's not.
That is incoherent.
No,
That breaks the second law of logic.
No, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. There is in God's word a category. So you guys have done this several times now. You've said, oh, this third category doesn't exist. It breaks the laws of logic. Well, no, God gives this category. All things are permissible, not all things are beneficial. So right there, under apostolic authority, inspired by the Holy Spirit of God, the third person in the Trinity, we have a third category, something that's permissible, but it's not beneficial. My whole thesis that kicked off this whole thing where everybody got mad at me, thousands of people, Christians, calling me a racist, saying that I hate people. These are people who have been saying it for years. They haven't even taken the time to watch the show to see that one of my co-hosts is interracial. These are deceitful, mean-spirited people. They're being mean. It's wrong, right? Whether or not interracial marriage, whether or not my position is permissible to have, that's debatable. Slander is not debatable.
Agreed.
Slander is objectively immoral. And all I'm saying is that this category is not a category that I invented in my mind. It's a category that I read in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 as a young boy. I realized that this was a category that has biblical merit. God sees this as it's permissible, but not beneficial.
Okay.
So I'm allowed to make that argument.
Okay, but that's not the argument. The argument isn't today if it's beneficial or not. The argument is, does it go against God's normative design? And that's what Ruslan is saying.
Spread the people out.
Hold on, let me
become unit.
Let him cook.
Go ahead, cook, my man.
Just saying that's what Ruslan is emphasizing, is that you guys have not been able to scripturally give a basis for interracial marriage going against God's original design when we have verses that show the opposite. So that's what has been lacking on the.
If you're, I'll use another example similar to the last one. If your daughter wanted to get married at 15, would you let her?
If my daughter wanted to get married at 15,
would you let her?
No.
Why?
Why not?
I would deduce that she's not ready for that.
Why? On what basis?
On the basis on her mentality. Notice the difference. I'm giving you what I ascertain and my knowledge and my observation, right? I'm not saying even necessarily that if a 15-year-old in the scripture who got married to another 17-year-old or a 21-year-old, whatever, that goes against what God's design. I'm not saying that.
But aren't you a Christian? Shouldn't you be thinking it not arbitrarily or capriciously? Shouldn't you be thinking in terms of what does God say, not only in his scripture, special revelation, but also in nature, natural revelation? You have two different ways that God's speaking to you.
So God talks about the maturity and the mindset of people ready for marriage. It talks about
so should the age, okay, let's do this. Should the age of consent be 14? Not for your daughter specifically.
No,
would you be okay with the age of consent being 15?
I don't think so, because I think that generally 14-year-olds are not mature physically or mentally or spiritually for marriage or relationships.
Do you think that's a valid argument, biblical argument to make?
I think that to argue that.
Well, so you just made it. You said that's. Well, hold on. You said that's biblical, and you made an argument where you just said what you just said is biblical. You said I don't believe that 14 or 15-year-old girls are mature.
No,
and then you said that's biblical.
No. See, that's why I say, like, you got to let me finish that. I'm not saying that there's an age biblically, because there's not. There's not an age biblically.
All right. Because they basically going around in circles right now. I'm gonna go up a little bit, and I'm gonna see if the conversation changes. If not, I'm gonna bring Harai and anybody else that want to come up, speak their piece, and then we're gonna be done with this.
We had Avery, we had Joel, we had Ruslan. We did get just a helpful distinction as it relates to permissibility and permissibility. 30 seconds. We'll go to Super Chat. He said, this excluded middle permissible, impermissible argument is wrong. The kind of act as permissible is different than an act in concrete circumstances. An act can be morally permissible in its genus, as a generic kind of act, but illicit in its species when in concrete circumstances, the act is an improper means to what is good. It is morally permissible for an 18-year-old to marry a 65-year-old, but isn't ordinarily conquered. They were allowed to take, for example, war brides. There was a sense in which they are brought in, they adopt, they bring their gods. But in giving a daughter in marriage, especially in the old sense, there was a sense where she would take over. She would go to his father's house. She would go to their culture. She would go sometimes to their gods. We see Leah stealing the gods from her father. And so generally, I would say there's a little bit of a difference. And bringing in is typically more the way it goes than going out.
Okay.
So then I'll pass it to you guys for this next one. For those who opposed, or is this one for us, do you think?
I don't
All
know.
right, let's
Just
give you the
read it.
next one. Let's
Read
talk
it.
God. What is the issue with Boaz and Ruth's interracial marriage, Hebrews and Moabite? I'm sorry, guys. Most of these are for us.
What is the issue?
Right. So they're saying,
it's
like, since
immoral?
you are generally opposed, what would be the issue with that? They're Hebrew
There's
Midianite.
not-
Isn't that interracial? And that's a problem?
There's not an issue. But I will point this out, Wes, you and I have talked about this, that it is a little bit different than someone coming from the other side of the planet. Thousands of, and here's the deal, like the Ken Ham argument that I just made with, one female and one male dog on the ark. And then, over time you get different, not species, but subspecies, or whatever types of dogs still within its kind. I would say there's a couple things. Today, we are further removed. There's been more time for different distinctions, even at a biological level, to develop. There's more time than in biblical times, like Ruth being a Moabite. And two, because of planes, trains, and automobiles, and technological innovation and these kinds of things, as well as pretty funky that I don't like political policies that have eroded borders and mass immigration, these kinds of things. It's very different than in biblical times. A lot of what you're looking at is.
Hey, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Peace, King. How you doing?
Man, just sitting up here reviewing this this interesting conversation that I found on YouTube. So
Yes.
what's your perspective on what you've heard?
Yes, and full disclosure, even though my name is Pan Mulattoism, I would like to articulate that, obviously I'm a mulatto, so I definitely support race mixing. In fact, I see race mixing as a part of evolution. And no, I do not believe that God is against race mixing. In my estimation, God supports race mixing. And if God did not want us to race mix, he would not allow us to be able to mix race. Or in other words, and when I say this, I'll articulate it in a way that doesn't sound so, disgusting, but it is a disgusting subject. You have humans, particularly, well, I won't say any particular demographic, but you have humans that have had sex with animals, but they are unable to procreate with animals. You know what I mean? Why? Because God, and when I say God, I'm referring to nature in this instance. Nature has prohibited it. A man that has sex with a dog cannot procreate with that dog. But a man of African descent that has sex with a woman of European descent, they can procreate. A woman of
Okay.
Asian descent that has sex with a man of African descent, they can procreate. So no, I definitely do not believe that God is against race mixing. No, not at all.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but did you actually hear some of the conversation, or how much of the conversation in the video did you actually hear?
I caught the tail end. They were referring to the Bible, and I gotta honestly admit, I'm not religious.
I
I'm
got
not
you. No,
religious at all.
it's our respect. I just found the conversation very interesting. I am a believer, quote unquote, Christian or whatever you want to call it. Uh, and they both try to substantiate the argument. Now, me personally, I don't believe that based on the New Testament and that God has an issue with somebody marrying somebody of another race. But me personally, I would want my grandkids to look just like me. That's just my personal prejudice. You understand what I'm saying? But I don't hate nobody else. Matter of fact, my grandmother's grandfather was a Caucasian man, so I get it, But I like what I like. So and I'm for people liking what they like. I'm not trying to police nobody else, But when it comes to racism, to the extent where there's people in power that are affecting one demographic of people, then I have an issue with that for sure. Pan, you still there? Mulatto.
Yeah, I'm here. My bad, bro. I was trying to hit the mute button. I was having a little bit of trouble. But to refer to what you said directly, um, and this is, I have to admit that this is a conversation or a subject that mulattoes such as myself, we can almost go on autopilot because we know inevitably 15 generations down the line, when the majority of races mix together, our great grandchildren will still look like us to a certain degree. They will still look like us. And I understand that if I was black, or if I was white, or if I was pure East Asian, I may have a little bit of anxiety because most likely your future generations, and when I say this, I'm not trying to insult you, but 15 generations down the line, because look, because I heard exactly what you said. You can maybe convince your children and even your grandchildren and even your great grandchildren, you may be able to convince them to only procreate with other black people
Yeah, for sure.
out of self-preservation, and I respect you for that.
100%.
But most likely, maybe by that sixth generation or that seventh generation, or maybe even earlier, it's going to be some more Caucasian that get into your bloodline. It may be some Asian that's going to get introduced to your bloodline. It may be some Arabian that's going to get introduced to your bloodline. And I can understand not just from the black point of view, but you have some whites that have that same anxiety that my future generations may not look like me. So in
Well. Let me
conversations like
hold on.
these,
Let me
I
interject real
can.
quick. Now,
My
I don't
bad.
have
Go
a
ahead, bro.
no. I just want to clear up a statement just for clarity. I don't have an anxiety about that. So let me be clear. You know what I mean? Like if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I'm not gonna be upset about it. Period. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't
No, I
be
hear you.
having
And
I wouldn't have an issue at all if my son decided to love who he loved, as long as he's treating that person right and they're thriving and they're not being, and my boys, because I got all boys, and they're not being used, then I'm cool with it.
yes, sir. And
But like I said,
if I
I prefer
projected
them to look
that
like me though.
exactly, and if I projected that anxiety onto you, I apologize. That was not
No,
my intent.
it's just no,
Actually, I was
it's just
speaking about.
no, it's just the word you use. So I just wanted you, Mulatto, to understand that it's really not that crucial. It's just I prefer. That's all.
No, no, I hear you. Actually, I was referring to many of the Pan African blacks and many of the pro whites that I've heard
Mm.
in actual discussions expressing their anxiousness or their anxiety. So that wasn't to you in particular,
Okay,
and
gotcha,
I'm glad you
gotcha.
cleared that up. But
Let me ask you this
in
real quick.
conversations like this, go ahead,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to know, what ethnicity are you?
Well, ethnically, I'm a descendant of U.S. chattel slaves, but racially, I'm a mulatto.
Okay, so I'm not sure. Like it's above my, it's above. Hey, I'm learning, right? So I understand what mulatto is. So I'm
Yes,
saying, so you're black and white.
exactly.
Like, okay, that's what I was trying to. That's what I was trying to distinguish.
And I
Okay,
think it may be a delay. I think it may be a delay, but let me answer you. I have European ancestry, African ancestry, Native American ancestry, and even some Filipino ancestry. So I mean, I'm racially mixed.
got you. So if somebody just seen you on the street, what would they assume you are?
No, you could tell I'm mixed by looking at me. Actually, I live in Puerto Rico, and to all the people that speak Spanish, when I say this word, you'll be able to tell that my Spanish is not that good. But they call me Trijeño, which is a word used to refer to people of mixed race descent, African, European, and Native American. Trijeño is essentially a wheat color.
Okay.
So you can tell that I'm not mixed. You would never mistake me for black or white. Literally, I have ginger hair, blonde hair. I have blondish ginger hair.
Got you. Okay, cool. So I can see now. From my understanding, Puerto Ricans are black. From my understanding,
Not all Puerto Ricans. I would say most Puerto Ricans are mixed race, but I will also say that most Puerto Ricans definitely have African ancestry, but also most Puerto Ricans have European ancestry and Native American ancestry as well. But there are some black Puerto Ricans, but there are also, to a lesser degree, there are also white Puerto Ricans. But most Puerto Ricans fall in the middle, mixed race.
okay. So if you had to educate me on the ancestry of Puerto Ricans, even though I know it's mixed race, you would lean towards more. Which side would you lean more towards?
Well, that's the point I'm making. In my estimation, most Puerto Ricans acknowledge all of that. See, that's the thing. Most Puerto Ricans, from my assessment, acknowledge the entirety of their ancestry, their African, their European, and their Native American ancestry. Versus in the U.S., most so-called Black Americans, even like yourself. Now, if I asked you, most likely I would never ask you this, but if someone were to ask you, "Are you Black American?" you would say yes. You wouldn't say, well, and I cannot speak for you, but most Black Americans would not say, well, you know, 20% European, I'm 25% European, 10% Native American. Most Black Americans, when they check that box, they check in the black box, and that's it. Versus in Latin America, in my estimation, I see that most people that are of African descent will still acknowledge their non-African ancestry.
Okay. How long you been in Puerto Rico?
Since 2019.
Okay, what made you go to Puerto Rico? I'm just curious if you don't mind me asking.
No, there's no problem. I'm originally from Maryland, and just like you from the States, we see that over the duration of our lifetime, the total number of immigrants has increased in the U.S. So I'm from a former slave plantation in Maryland called Long Reach. Matter of fact, let me shout my hood out. I'm from Long Reach, Tamar Drive, zip code 21045, a former slave plantation. Anyone can look this up. My neighborhood is a former slave plantation called Long Reach. And as I grew up, I noticed that the number of Hispanics, Asians, Africans, Indians, Pakistanis, Arabians. I noticed the number of immigrants from all around the world was accumulating. So I realized since they are in my house, I got to go to their house. So yes, I live in Puerto Rico currently, but I also have real estate in different Caribbean, Latin American, and I'm looking at a house over in the Philippines as well.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what's up. So you diversify your real estate portfolio.
for sure. And then really and because I don't want to get caught on this tangent because I want to stick to the topic of the show, but I will say this. I recommend that all Black Americans that are capable and willing buy real estate in the nations that immigrants come to the US from. Really, they are in your house, so you gotta be in their house. Really.
Mm. So last question as far as that, and then because I know this brother Harwin, he's very astute in the studies of historic, just about history about different ethnicities, and I would love for y'all to have a conversation to see how y'all could build or see the ideology between y'all two. But are you citizens of different countries?
Well, I won't speak on that, but I do advocate for
Okay.
Black Americans to get citizenship in foreign nations.
All right,
For sure.
respect.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Harbin, what you feel about mulattoism? I guess he not here. Harwin.
I'm trying My computer
You say what?
tweaking.
Nah, you don't have to be on camera. It's up to you. It's all good.
Hold on,
I can hear you clear.
Nah, it's just.
Oh well, nah. I guess I can't. I guess I can't hear you clear. So real quick, so pan-mulattoism. So is that like a new thing, or is that something that a lot of people don't have education about?
I wouldn't say it's new at all, but I realized I had to come to a realization that, you know, growing up, even though I always knew I was mixed race, I was taught to identify as black, but then when I got around actual black people, particularly from Africa, they would always remind me that I was not like them. So I had to, you know, look in the mirror and actually embrace what I actually saw, which is no, there is a genetic difference between me and a sub-Saharan African that has no racial admixture. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging the difference between myself and them. So they are black, I'm a mulatto. We are family, but we are not the same. Just like it would be inaccurate if I called myself white. I have European ancestry, but that does not make me white.
So you had that issue with black Americans from the hood and black people from America, or
I wouldn't even call it an issue, but yes, to answer your question, even some black Americans told me I wasn't black.
So what would cause that form of conversation and energy? Is it because y'all were beefing, or it just happened? Did you hear me?
He on mute.
I know he probably trying to unmute.
No, bro. I just got a phone call. Can you repeat that?
I say did black people, did they express that you were not black because y'all were beefing, or it was just being random conversations?
Well, yeah, sometimes when we was beefing, but I would say it would be more common even when we were joking with each other, or even in a serious discussion. You know, not that we weren't beefing. It would just always acknowledge that there was a difference between myself and an actual black person. And for the record, the black people that told me that I'm not black, they were not wrong. They were right. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging yourself as a black person and distinguishing yourself from a mulatto. Because me as a mulatto, I'm going to distinguish myself from a black person. And I'm going to also say it's all love. I'm not saying that in a hateful way. It's just a biological reality, you know?
Is it really?
Definitely. Have you taken a DNA test?
No, but you don't have to take a DNA test to know that if something is a biological reality or not if you study genetics.
Yes. Well, let's have a dialogue.
Are all people genetic mutations from an African man and woman? Yes or no?
That's debatable.
That's not debatable.
Actually, it is. The out of Africa theory is a theory.
I'm not talking about the out of Africa theory. So don't get too
exactly. So let's have a dialogue. Well,
okay.
You take 20 tests.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Hey, I would like for y'all to have that conversation, but y'all got to let each other land.
Yeah.
So he said that's debatable. So what's your response to that?
It's not debatable, but then he tried to answer with the out of Africa theory, and I wasn't talking about the out of Africa theory. So them two different conversations, though they can be synonymous at times, they two different things.
Now go ahead. I want you to take the rest of your 40 seconds, just so when I respond, you don't cut me off. Let's have an organized discussion.
I cut you off. Yeah. The point we was having dialogue, so actually you was going first.
The point I'm making is this, and it's very simple. There are sub-Saharan Africans that have taken DNA tests, and they have come back with results that they are 100% sub-Saharan African. There are East Asians that have taken DNA tests, and they have no verifiable African ancestry. There are even Europeans, to a lesser degree, but there are even Europeans that have taken DNA tests, and they have no verifiable African ancestry. So with all due respect, when you say that all humans descend from a common African ancestor, that is not genetically verifiable. And I relinquish the floor.
Okay, so what you just said didn't prove that just because they didn't have African ancestry doesn't mean that they didn't mutate from an African man and woman. So that's fact number one. I'm gonna use an example. The people I study called the Andamanese people. Use them as a perfect example. The Andamanese people are sometimes they're bunched into the group. Not sometimes they are bunched into the group called Negritos. These so-called black people that live in the South Pacific area, South Pacific Ocean area, islands, and these people I'm talking about live off the East Coast island of India. So these are, you can go debate with them and the Aboriginals in Australia, but that's in Australia. These are the oldest Asian people on the planet. They don't have any African ancestry. So they look like pygmies in South Africa. That can be through divergent evolution, meaning they evolved in a similar climate, but they're not the same people. They're not the same people genetically. They're genetically Asians. Genetically. But that doesn't disprove that their genetics or their particular haplogroup itself, which is haplogroup D, if I'm not mistaken. That particular haplogroup indeed mutated from an African haplogroup. Those are two different conversations. You talk about recent ancestry from Africans. And then when you say you get Africans that have 100% sub-Saharan African DNA, what does that even mean? Because sub-Saharan itself is a racist trope. And it implies that people only stayed below, meaning sub the Sahara Desert. But that didn't happen. So how could we consider them sub-Saharan? What is a sub-Saharan African? When any different sub-Saharan groups, so-called sub-Saharan, can have different haplogroups, different genetics. The most genetic diversity is there. So that doesn't prove your point, brother.
Yes, and while we have the dialogue, remember can we agree to 20 seconds so that we can hit each one of each other's points? Can we agree to 20 seconds? Can we agree to that, brother?
You can have how much time you need from me. You know,
no, I'm asking you, brother. 20 seconds at a time, just so we can respond to each point that the other brother's making.
I think you might need, I know I may need more than 20 seconds to respond to something because I can't conflate things that's more intricate than that within 20 seconds.
But sometimes you got to be concise, though. Are you able to be concise? Because I want to respond to what you just said. So I asked you,
concise just now.
No, you weren't, brother. But just to get back to the focal point, because you double spoke a little bit, so I'm going to ask you a direct question. The Andamanese people, and I'm very familiar with them, and the Australian, exactly, and the Australian Aboriginals. I'm asking you a direct question: do they have African ancestry? Yes or no?
Who are the Adam and Eve people?
Brother, did you forget what you just said? Exactly, from the Andaman Islands. You might have forgot what you just said. You brought them up, brother. You might have forgot.
Adam and Eve. I thought you said Adam and Eve.
All right, now you understand me. I'm asking, are they of African descent? Yes or no?
Their haplogroup is a mutation from African DNA, but they don't have direct African ancestry within recent time. That's what I just answered when I gave my spiel of it.
All right, so you're saying yes, they are?
I'm saying that that's not a yes or, I'm saying that's not a yes or no question.
You said the origin of their haplogroup is in Africa. That's what you just said, brother. You might have forgot.
No,
that's what you said.
Their haplogroup mutated from an African DNA.
Exactly, meaning that the haplogroup. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
What I said was they are not African. They are a product of divergent evolution. They evolved how they look because they grew up or lived in an environment for a long period of time that's similar to an environment of group of people that
brother, slow down, brother. Back to the haplogroup. You said that it mutated.
Brother, I said I clipped what I said was clear, brother. I'm not trying to
brother. You see, I got you in the headlock. I'm asking a simple question.
Brother.
Your claim
it's not a simple answer.
Calm down. So why are you triggered? Why are you triggered, brother?
I'm not triggered. You cut me off.
You take another 40 seconds. I'll mute up. Go ahead. Take another 40 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's not a yes or no question. I said that Andamanese is not Adam and Eve people. Look them up. Another word is Jawara, so we don't get confused because you was a little confused on that. The word, these people evolved how they are, mutated in that environment in Asia because that's how long they've been there. They are not directly from an African because of how mutations work. A haplogroup is a mutation.
And you see, I got them on the tightrope. I'm asking a simple question. Their haplogroup, you claim that it mutated from a previous existing African haplogroup. Yes or no?
Yes, they mutated from an African person. Yes.
All right, simple question, brother. How can you confirm or verify the origin of the haplogroup that mutated and created the Jawara people?
Simple answer: by studying the genome, by studying the origin
Yes.
of those Y chromosomes.
Yes. Did you hear the question? I said, how can you confirm the origin of the haplogroup? Simple question.
By studying the genome. You can see the mutations on the genome.
No, I'm asking because the genome is about the ancestry, actual humans. The question is, how can you confirm the origin of the actual haplogroup?
By studying the genetic mutations.
Oh, I get it.
The genome.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
I do, brother.
What you're saying is essentially, with all due respect, brother, because you cannot confirm that haplogroup was created during Pangea. You don't know that.
I didn't say it
right?
wasn't.
All right. So how can you say that they have an African origin? Checkmate.
Because of the origin of those haplogroups are.
Brother, how do you know that haplogroup didn't occur during Pangea? How do you know?
Because the oldest human being that we have, the oldest one, is 300,000 years old in Pangea.
But how do you know that though?
By studying the DNA.
I'm asking how's that genetically verifiable?
Age. You want me to show some scientific articles that show you how they age the genome?
No, I know you're relying on the out of Africa theory.
No, I'm not.
But it's not genetically verifiable.
No, you're not going to stop.
Because you just acknowledged.
You
just acknowledged. Let's have the dialogue, brother.
I agree with everything.
Why you triggered, brother? Why you triggered?
You just misquoted me.
I let you speak. Why I can't speak?
Because you misquoted me.
Because you feeling cooked, right? I got you on the grill right now. I'm making you a shish kebab. You're a Pan-African shish kebab right now, brother.
No, sir.
I'm just asking. I'm asking a simple question.
I don't agree with the out-of-African theory all the way. There's some things
brother. I'm asking a simple question.
I don't agree with.
I'm asking a question, brother.
When
you speak about, I got you back on the. I got you on the tightrope. I'm asking because you can't get out this headlock. The question is, brother. How can you verify that the haplogroup that the Jawara come from, or the haplogroup that the Australian Aboriginals come from? These are people that you brought up, brother. How can you verify that the origin of the haplogroup that mutated, that they descend from, how can you verify that it comes from Africa?
By studying the oldest mutations on them genomes.
Oh, you're repeating someone else's words. I get it. I get it. And that's the point I'm making right there.
But you actually,
that's literally the point I'm making right there. Just as. But let me complete my sentence, brother. Let me complete my sentence, brother.
Ask me a question. You just asked me a question.
Yeah, you answered. Now pass the mic back, brother. Okay. The point is this, because you're cooked. The point is this, with all due respect.
You don't know my position.
Hold on. Let me kind of moderate a little bit. So one of my buddies in the comments, Ilkan Ali, says her
adaptations are still mutations.
Hold on, listen. Hold on. He said Harvin is right, except their mutation is not their adoption.
What adaptation is what he's saying?
What he's saying is,
and go ahead. I just want to say this to my brother Ilkan, with all due respect. And Ilkan is my brother, but even he cannot verify that all Africans, pardon me, Ilkan cannot verify that all humans have African ancestry. It's a theory, with all due respect, because you also have the multiple speciation theory. And I'm not claiming to be a proponent of either one. I'm just saying these are theories that are not genetically verifiable. They're human. Allow me to complete my sentence, brother. Why are you triggered? You're cooked right now. And you got somebody cheerleading for you, and you still triggered? With all due respect, mute up. The point is this. With all due respect, the point is this, brother. Come on. You see the chat trying to help you because I'm cooking you. The point is this. There are human. All right, well, one sentence, brother, please. The point is this. There are human beings right now in East Asia and in Europe, etc., that have taken DNA tests and have zero verifiable African ancestry. There's no way around that. Anything else you say after that is speculation, brother. Now go ahead.
Everyone watching, I don't agree with everything with the out of Africa theory. That's not my view. Only thing I can agree with is some things that they have confirmed. But just because they confirm some things don't mean they substantiated their whole view, which I don't agree with. But to what you're saying, sir, when you ask me how do we know that, and I answer you by studying their haplogroup and their mutations, what the brother is calling adaptations, but the word mutation can be used in the same way he's using. It's a change on the genome. You can literally chart these charts. The Human Genome Project, there's a source, Trey. You can pull it up. The Human Genome Project and Chinese observers outside on their own independent way tried to prove that they evolved separately from so-called Homo erectus. And even his study showed that they still went back to the genotype that they all mutated from, what they're calling an African haplogroup. Now, those haplogroups just happen to be in Africa now in at least the last 350,000 years, but that does not mean they started there. So that's my argument.
That's checkmate, brother. You just killed yourself.
No, I didn't. You're not listening.
You did, brother. You just
triggered.
said my point, brother. That does not mean they started in Africa.
Now you triggered.
Checkmate.
Now you triggered, right? But it doesn't.
I'm acknowledging the truth. That does not mean that they started in Africa, right? I'm agreeing with you. You agree with me? Checkmate.
No, I'm not agreeing with you.
You are, brother. You just said that does not mean they started in Africa. That's what I've been telling you the whole time.
They didn't either. What it means is all these
exactly. It's not verifiably true.
That's
right.
Correct. It's already verified. But what we can show,
brother, is if you're saying it doesn't mean they started in Africa, that means it's not verifiable.
When I say, okay, now you triggered again because you cutting off again. When I say,
no, brother, you spoken long enough. You just told on yourself.
When I say African, I'm talking about as in the continent of Africa today, and I said
exactly.
It's really been there the last at least 350,000 years. That's what we know.
Exactly.
We know that is a fact. The oldest.
No, we don't know that as a fact, brother.
No, we know that. That's all we can confirm. We know that.
No, we don't, brother. No, we don't, brother.
All right, hold on. Let me interject real quick. Then hold on. So, hey, Mugattawism. So, if Harwin says it's something that we can verify, I'm just asking objectively why you say we can't verify something that he's stating that we can verify.
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that just for clarity. That's actually the point I'm making right there. What would be the methodology that this brother is using to verify this? And allow me to say one more sentence, I promise. The brother just conceded to my point and acknowledged that I'm correct when he himself said it is not verifiable that these haplogroups or these genomes began in Africa. That's the entirety of my point right there. So he's relying on a theory such as the out of Africa theory when he speaks about what he's talking about. It's not genetically verifiable.
Can I respond, Trey?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, real quick, Hart, is there something you want me to pull up?
The particular thing I'm talking about is the oldest Homo sapien remains that we have. This isn't a theory. We have the remains, and then the methodology is the Human Genome Project coupled with which is genetics. So when you study and you can date the age on the genetics, the argument, and I'm gonna help your argument you were attempting to make. The argument you should be making is about William Perry, the African American who has the AOO haplogroup that is different subclad, which is meaning a relation to this haplogroup, but different subclad meaning a different branch.
Exactly. You keep killing yourself, brother.
Hold on.
Exactly.
Let me talk, brother.
Yeah, you just cooked yourself, brother. God damn.
I didn't cut you off. You're triggered again.
I'm not triggered, bro.
You are because you cut me off.
You just conceded my point, brother.
No, I'm not.
You just conceded my point again.
I'm giving you something that can help your argument. Does not.
Yeah, so it should trigger a light bulb in your brain, brother.
No, bro. How is it a light bulb?
No, it won't trigger a light bulb in your brain. All right, brother, go ahead.
No, how? When I'm the only one mentioning,
brother, you're arguing with yourself at this point.
Actual haplogroups, because I know this.
Exactly, you're arguing with yourself at this point, brother.
You haven't mentioned anything to the topic, brother. Respectfully, you only mentioned.
Actually, what I said was, well, go ahead, take your 40 seconds. I go next. Go ahead, brother.
But it's on video. It's all live. We all can see that you haven't. We can just rewind your video.
Yeah, please watch the replay. You got cooked.
The answer, Trey, he didn't answer your question. The methodology is what I just mentioned, and there's actual bones you can look up. The reconstruction of this Homo sapien looked like 50 Cent. You can Google this. Like, that's the oldest one that we have.
I'm asking what you want me to Google. I'll do it right now.
Just Google.
Yeah, please help him out. Please help him out.
Help me for what? That's the one we have. Now, until you can show us one outside of Africa, you don't have an argument either. But neither one of them are my argument. You don't know my argument to argue against me.
Now, how I went, watch how brief my.
Sir,
and look, my response would be one sentence because you're cooked right now. The question. All right, go ahead, make your point. Go ahead.
You talking again?
And watch how. Oh, you still going? My bad. My bad. I thought you was done. Go ahead. Take another 40 seconds, brother. Go ahead.
You didn't think that. I ain't never agreed to your 40-second thing.
Oh, so you're afraid of my response. I get it.
Yeah,
you're afraid of my response. I get it.
No, sir. I said you can have all the time.
Okay, so let me respond, brother. Watch how brief my response is.
It's not your turn to respond.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Make your point. Go ahead. Make your point.
Decorum, which is discipline. It takes discipline to have decorum. It really do. Trey, he didn't answer your question. And then he tried to answer your question by saying he can't show a methodology after I mentioned the methodology. Then I mentioned the first.
Hold on. What's the methodology?
Genomics. The Human Genome Project proved the study of genes and then the breaking down of the haplogroups and the genetics of his genome. That's the methodology.
Okay.
Now,
my bad. You still going? Go ahead, bro.
Do it again. Now, through that methodology, you can show how old approximates how old DNA is. So the example that I used was this African American brother DNA by the name of William Perry. This is an argument that he could use, but I don't know if he knows genetics or not. But the age,
he's from South Carolina, brother. Can you wrap it up so we could progress?
He's from South Carolina. I got you. You know where he's from, but you're doing it again.
Hey,
brother, let's progress the dialogue, brother.
Hey, hold on. What do you want me to pull up? Because Ali's saying I can pull this up. What are y'all?
Please help him out. Help him out.
I mean, all he's going to do is show what I'm saying already is true. He's not teaching me nothing or showing me nothing new. What he's going to show is what I'm saying is correct.
And the point is this, and watch how brief my response is, because I'm really confident as I'm cooking this, brother. The point is this: you cannot verify the origin of the genomes that you're speaking about, as you already conceded. You cannot verify that they are originating in Africa.
Confirm that all the people on the planet come from some people, though. No, but I can prove that all the people on the planet.
But you cannot verify those people are African.
But we can prove that all the people.
But you cannot verify that they're African.
All of those people.
And why are you talking over me, brother? Why are you talking over me, brother?
Because you said you was quick.
The question is, and really it's not a question. You already verified that you cannot confirm that the people that you're referring to are African. You cannot verify that the.
My bad,
go ahead, make your point. God damn it, make your point.
I ain't got no point. I'm telling.
I know you squirming right now. I know you squirming, brother. The point is this, and you cannot get around this.
Put that comment back up.
Yeah, put the comment back up so he could get cooked some more. The point is this: you cannot verify that the origins of the haplogroups or the genome that you're speaking about originated in Africa. I would like to see you try.
Okay, so you done? I don't want to not show the corn.
Clearly, brother, go ahead.
I don't know. I didn't say that, but this is a nuanced conversation. Put the other brother comment back up there.
Oh, you say I'm running. I'm asking. Can you confirm that they came from Africa? You already said you can't. You already said you can't. But you're debating me, though.
Hold on, I got
a question. You're debating me. You cannot.
Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, you're running.
I got a question for Pan real quick. So
yeah, save him because he's cooked. He's drowning. So I'm listening. Go ahead.
I got a question. So Pan, let me ask you this. All right, hold on, y'all. Hold on. I love the debate. I really love it. Like that's why I'm having it. But real quick, so Pan, he is giving, whether you believe it or not, he is giving a fact in his opinion on where we come from or the original. I mean, how we came into play. Whatever.
He giving some opinions. Yeah.
I got you. So let me ask you this. So Pan, in your from your study and from what you know, where is the original person from, or where is the original DNA from?
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. We have no concrete evidence to verify the origin of humans. Anything that we could do today is speculation, respectfully.
So he's saying he don't know.
And you cannot let him out this headlock. The question is, brother, and you already conceded that you cannot verify the origins of these haplogroups and the genomes being African.
Anything.
So the question is, brother, are you scared of what I have to say? All right, take another 40 seconds. I'll go next.
Sure.
Go ahead, brother.
You don't know if you don't know my position. No, you're saying something incorrect. You're saying something incorrect. I never conceded to nothing. You don't know you can't even, how you going to debate someone a position you don't even know? You don't know my position on our origin as far as landmass. But what I did prove here, Trey, and he conceded that we all come from them people, regardless of what landmass they started on. The landmass can be the debate, but those genetically diverse people that we colloquially calling African today, which I don't even agree with that ideology, but I'm using that because that's what people understand. I don't agree with calling everybody African, but I understand what we mean by when we saying African. We talk about those people in the continent we call in Africa today. Everybody on the planet come from those people on the continent of Africa today. Where they started from is a debate. Absolutely, that's a debate. Because I debate with the African brothers, then I sometimes debate with the Aboriginal brothers is here. That's the argument. But what is no debate, Trey, is that all them people have the same common ancestors genetically, regardless of the landmass.
Exactly.
And
so now you finally. Oh, you still going? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. And watch how I wrap this up with one sentence. Let me wrap this up with one sentence, brother. So now you finally concede that all humans do not have any verifiable African ancestry. You just said it. You might have forgotten.
No, I did not.
You just said it.
I did not.
Brother, you literally just said that we cannot. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Put your foot in your mouth again. Go ahead.
I said the land.
Africa is a landmass. Africa is a landmass, is it not?
People that's on the landmass.
Is Africa a landmass, brother?
The people.
I'm asking, is Africa a landmass?
Hey, Magato. Hold on real quick, Harvard.
Yeah, you got to save him because I got him in the headlock. Go ahead.
Hold on, Magato. So let me ask you a question. Yes. So your stance is nobody historically can trace where the original people or man come from. So because nobody can actually substantiate it from your viewpoint, then nobody can really make a factual statement on where the original people from. Is that your stance?
Exactly. And the brother just agreed with me after running in circles for over an hour.
Trey, I disagree with that. We don't know the origin of the landmass, but we know that these
exactly. You agree with me, brother. So what's your point of contention? Checkmate.
No, you're not understanding.
So what is your point of contention?
Are different because
what is your point of contention though? But what is your point of contention with me?
Landmass and people are different.
No, I'm asking, what is your point of contention with me though?
I just told you, you're equating land and people. So
when did I do that? When did I do that?
Because when we argue that the DNA comes from them, we can show the genes, we can show actual evidence, not theory. We can show actual scientific evidence that these genetics evolved from the same group of people. And then I use William Perry in South Carolina, from the Carolinas, to show that he has an AOO haplogroup. And then there's another AOO haplogroup in the Cameroon.
And to the host, you still going? And to the host, with all due respect, you'll remember in this exact discussion, I said it's untrue to say that all humans have African ancestry. And this brother initially disagreed with me. Now he agrees with me. He agrees that all humans. But why are you triggered, brother? Well, let's ask the host. The host is neutral. Hold on, brother. The host is neutral. Brother, the host is neutral. The host is neutral. Host, with all due respect. Yeah, but you're cooked. I cooked you. But I cooked you. So have some decorum, bro.
Okay, hold on.
Have some decorum.
So, Mulatto, let me ask you a question then. So,
well, allow me to complete the sentence, though, brother.
Go ahead.
With all due respect. You were watching. You were neutral. We were live. And I'll cut the clip up and play it for the brother. The point is, when I said that all humans, it's untrue to say that all humans have African ancestry, this brother disagreed with me. Is that true or false?
I would
be honest, it's all right. Huh?
I would say true.
Exactly. Now he has come into agreement with me that it is not verifiable that all humans have African ancestry. So now he's in agreement with me. So I'm glad I was able to teach the brother live on air, respectfully. Now, what's your question, King?
But his question was simple, Trey.
Hold on to the host, brother. I asked the host a question. The host asked me a question. I would like to hear that question.
I can't respond to that?
Brother, I cooked you. You spoke long enough. You were very long-winded.
Hey, so Mulatto, what I took from what Harvard was saying was that the original man can be traced back to Africa.
And he was wrong about that. Yeah, he said that, and he cannot verify that. Exactly.
So, Harvey, what's your response to that?
That's what I'm saying is the original man that we calling Africans can be traced to that single group that's in Africa. But I also say that doesn't prove that, let's say 400,000 years ago or 500,000 years ago, that don't mean that they were there in Africa to start as the landmass they started.
You see how he changed his answer? You see how he changed his answer?
That's actually my position.
Like the host even said it, brother. Come on. Just admit defeat, brother. Just admit defeat, brother. Just admit defeat,
sir,
brother.
you don't know my position.
You learned a lot in this discussion,
No,
brother.
sir.
You learned a lot.
No,
I'm your
sir.
teacher. I'm
You
your
don't know my
sensei.
position.
I'm your Mr. Miyagi. I'm your Mr. Miyagi, brother. Respectfully. And look, I just missed a phone call. I'll be back up in a second. Let him booty clap while I'm gone. I'll be back in a second. I got a phone call. Peace.
All right. So what I got from what you were saying, Harvey, was that
that's hilarious.
The original man started in Africa, but we can't say everybody can't be. You're not saying that everybody can be traced back to African landmass. I can't hear you.
What I'm saying is this: the oldest. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And now Ali actually agree with you. Ali in the comments, he agree with you. He don't agree with Mulatto. But then
we just disagreed on semantics of adaptation and mutation.
So I got two people. Ali agree with you.
I don't know if me and Ali fully agree, because he don't fully know my argument either. The brother was.
Hold on, you keep going in and out, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, I seen them, but they gotta hear my actual position. When I was talking about African, I'm speaking from the.
Hey, you probably, his connection keep messing up. Hey, I wanted you to pull up if you could. You ain't got to get on camera. Hey, you don't have to get on camera. I know Ali probably dealing with the kids. I'm not gonna lie, that's an interesting conversation for sure. Samson, what up? Hey, pull up. You ain't got to turn your camera on, bro. I want to hear your take. Oh, okay, I got you. Auntie, talk about I'm not from Africa. I'm gonna say this, right? Mulatto basically saying that, hey, there is nobody can verify where the original man come from. Okay, hold on.
Maybe that's better. I just got on my phone. My computer acting slow.
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, you in there now. But
right.
I understood what he was saying, but I also understand what you were saying as well.
But he don't understand my argument. He don't get it, which is cool. But what I'm saying is the people that we call African, everybody on the planet is still related to those people. Okay. That's a fact. That's not an opinion.
Sansa, what up?
Hold on, let me turn this off. I still got my computer on, ain't no feedback. All right. Right now, when I specifically said there's some things in the out of Africa theory I don't agree with when he tried to put me in that box, because there's some things I do not agree with, because there's things they just haven't proven for a fact. But there's some things in the theory when they write a theory, bro. The theory, how they use theory is not how we use theory on a general basis every day, like something that is just an opinion, right? A scientific theory. A scientific theory is when you come up with a hypothesis, that would be the opinion. But then you will go through scientific method. You will give a methodology that you're going to use to prove that opinion. And then you do the experimentations, and then you chart those observations. And then you take those observations from that data, and then you come to a conclusion. That's a theory, a scientific theory.
I'm gonna be real with you. It's hard to battle somebody like Mulatto when he has no true standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like when you can just make a.
That's why I wasn't trying to battle him. I really just wanted to have a conversation because he don't know my position to argue with me. That's ignorant. That's
Ali,
why.
what up?
What up, Ali?
What's
And
up?
I don't know his position to sit here
No,
and just.
he don't actually have a position because he don't. He said he can't be.
Well, he
traced
said
back.
we don't know, so he not all the way wrong when he do that. Now that's why how can we debate when I already agree? Because I came from the jump and said some things about the out of Africa theory are not ironed out, and I don't agree with. So out the gate, I said that. So I said, wait, don't put me in that box. So when he say he don't know, that's a sufficient answer to when you don't know. But some things he said he don't know about, he's wrong about. We can prove. That's just flat out.
I brought Try up because Try disagree as well. But hold on, let Ali go first. Try.
How you doing, brother Try?
What's going? So this is why Haram he right about it all. Actually, though, what I said adaptation, it is a mutation. So
Right.
before he tried to checkmate me,
No, I
but
already knew it. I was semantics, bro. Do your thing.
there's the mutation that's just random, and it occurs and it can occur in our DNA, and then there's the
Right.
mutation that occurs for the
From an
survival of the
adaptation.
for the survival of the human being. Well, would affect the whole populace
Right.
when it happens.
Right.
So he's right overall, and he's also right when he says that when you look at the Adam gene and the Eve gene, the paternal and maternal gene, everybody 99% of all the human beings, their gene is connected to that paternal and maternal Eve gene, which is essentially African social construct. But we know that when we talk about DNA, the African and the genealogy or the race is actually a social construct, but the
Right.
diversity of the DNA shows
That's
where the
right.
majority of people come from. Europeans have the less amount of variation in their DNA, where we have the most amount of variation in our DNA, which makes us that human being in that area where everybody originating from. Now they could have been in America for a duration of time, what we call America, not actually America because it was called Pangea. But when they're looking at the certain location where everybody migrated away from, it's
Right.
in that location called Africa. Now,
Right.
all of us would say we don't know where the human being came from. Obviously, we're not sure where it came from. We could be extraterrestrial. We don't know. But in regards to our genealogy, everybody came from what is deemed today as the human being out of the location we call Africa. He's right.
Okay, Try. What was your viewpoint?
I got two questions to just clear up and see where we stand. Do y'all believe in Pangea?
What do you mean by when you say that? You gotta be specific. Do we believe it existed, or do we believe people existed at that time? Do we believe? No, that's a vague question. Be a little more specific.
Yeah. Do you believe that landmass so-called existed and people? Well, I guess you have to do both of them then, since you break it down like that. Yes. Do you believe
Okay.
that we were there at Pangea?
Say that
Would
again.
that explain? Do you believe that we were on the Earth during the Pangean time?
You want me to go or Ali go?
It don't matter.
I'll go, Ali. I would say that I can't prove for a fact that humans existed during the time of a Pangea. I can't
Okay.
prove that. But what I will say is this: every time they dig, we getting older and older. And in our oral traditions, whether it's ancient America or ancient Africa, it speaks of a time when we were one people and we were
Mm-hmm.
on this same landmass. It do. So based upon that, I would lean on my ancestors over what they have discovered in science. And let me tell you why I say that, bro. I say that because there are things that in genetics that has just been discovered within the last, you know what I'm saying, the Human Genome Project just is recent history. You feel what I'm saying? These things are in our lifetime or our grandparents or our parents' lifetime. And when they look up the people like the Ngora people or the Jumlasi, these people they call in Khoisan and so-called pygmies. When you look at their oral traditions, It's and in the Bantu or traditions of so-called Bantu people circling around them in other groups. They also say this too, that they the oldest people. Now, how is it possible our ancestors knew that before their genomics discovered that? You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so what I'm getting to say is Africa is to me a construct, and my I don't believe
No,
that
wait,
people
before
can't.
you go, you understand my position, what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You right with me, so I don't have a lot of argument with that.
You said I'm right,
You know,
what?
you right where I'm standing at in most of it.
Okay.
So it ain't like you said with the ancestors, the great floods, all that stuff. It all makes sense. So you know what I'm saying. So there's stories all over about that. So my thing is, I hate when people say Africa as is today is where everybody came from, because at that time it would have not looked like it looked now, and it probably wouldn't have been what we think it is. Also, my second thing is the human genome progress. The two oldest DNAs they found, which would be that black woman, and then it would be what's his name, William. They
William
are
Perry.
both William Perry. They are both Black Americans from American with Black Indian roots. So if we're gonna say the oldest DNA comes from Africa, but the oldest DNA was found in so-called Black Indian niggas in America, then that means that most likely this was what you would call Africa. And there is a theory out there that the Mississippi is actually the Nile and America is actually Egypt, and all of that shit has been flipped by modern science to fit propaganda schemes.
Yeah, I know that
So
argument.
if we flip that and we actually take all of that in, that means the so-called Africa would have been in the Americas. So I'm just saying, from the DNA and everything, piecing it all together, because the DNAs that are oldest come here, not there. Now, what they find over there that's old is monkey, or what you would call
Nah.
Neanderthal. Now, I'm just gonna be real. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
What you want to call? You said
Don't do that. Don't do that. I said I'm with you until I'm not with you.
Yeah. But that's what I call a Neanderthal, a monkey.
Don't do
They
that.
find
The Khoisan not Neanderthals though. The Twa, the Jumlasi, they're not Neanderthals. They don't even have Neanderthal DNA.
But the Twa's history says the Twa don't even come from Africa. They said they migrated there. You know the Twa story? They said they come from the West.
History. I'm quoting it.
Yeah, so you know they come from the West. So the West would be.
Nah, it depends on what we're talking about, brother. Let's not conflate it. Don't conflate the Twa history, because I'll bring it up. You know, I tell brother Blue, hit the share screen.
Yeah, because the Twa was everywhere. You know that there were pygmies in Asia.
Right. So when you say that, what is
America,
west of where did they start?
Pygmies in Africa. Nobody knows that, and I'm not gonna say anybody. That's what my point is. Nobody can say where we started, and I think that's a crazy argument to have, trying to search down that rabbit hole, because nobody will know the unknown. That's like trying to find out what God really looked like. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point in time, you got to accept there's pieces of our history that we will never know, and I accept that. And I don't search for something that's such a rabbit hole that where nobody will ever know the beginning or how we all came to be, because we're not all kin. So that means it could been a bunch of people started at one time. It could have been multiple start locations. It's so many theories, but at the end of the day, I just think it's a fruitless endeavor to say where did everybody start. I just think that people have their cultures where they at. We have Americans that are here that are American, blacks from America. And I think this was a black planet, like Public Enemy said, not a black continent. You know what I'm saying? So if it was an all black planet, then we have Aboriginal people in Asia that are black. We have Aboriginal people in America that are black. We have Africans that are Aboriginal Africa that are black, and we have black Europeans that were Aboriginal Europe that were black. You know what I'm saying? So that's why.
Don't they have some in Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah. In Guadalajara, they have a whole motherfucking group of Afro what you would call Mexicanos, you know what I'm saying?
But so-called Afro, because let's be clear, there are some indigenous black people that's there, and some of them that came through the slave trade.
Tribe. The Pilas tribe are like black people. They basically black people. If you seen them, you wouldn't think they were Mexican. You know what I'm saying? I live down there, so I know. Also, more so-called black people died in the first Mexican Revolution than so-called Mexicans that are there now. The first president of Mexico is named Vicente Guerrero. He is a black man. You know what I'm saying? He was the first so-called black man president of all of the Western countries ever. So Mexico has a history of black indigenous people running that country but there's a lot of stuff going on with Hidalgo and a lot of shit that made that history become whitewashed. You know what I'm saying?
But we gotta let Ali respond though. He ain't even win yet.
He might be busy.
Well, Pangea absolutely supposedly existed. When you look at the way the plate shifted and the age of the rocks in different areas, they're supposedly all put together. But when you're talking about the DNA, those were the earliest human beings. Like even if you say this person in America, they essentially they migrated from the location of Africa to America as well too. You'd have to tell me the name of the fossil you're talking about as well too. But
Nah,
it's
it's not a fossil, bro. It's actual genetic remains from a man by the name of William Perry's family.
yeah, but where did William Perry come from?
I don't want to cut you off. I'm gonna let you finish, then I'll answer. I'm gonna
Well,
let you
yeah. So
cook.
I'd have to
Yeah.
see where
Yeah,
William Perry came from and how he got there
he
as
from
well
the
too.
Carolinas though.
Right, but it would still show that the majority of the variation, the DNA variation, is still in location in Africa. Both the maternal and it's one thing for the maternal to be somewhere else, the paternal to be somewhere else, but both the oldest that's why they call the Adam gene and the Eve gene. They all go right back to Africa, the location of Africa.
Actually, that's why I said there's two people. There's William, and then there's Roberta Flack. I think her name is. They did an experiment on her
Roberta
womb.
Flack, the singer.
Not Roberta Flack. What is her name?
Oh
Give me
my
give me
Lord,
give
come
me
on.
a second. I said it's something Flack. It is her
Killing me
last name is Flack.
softly.
Genetic. It's something that had to do with her uterus. Um, I say Roberta Flack. That's crazy, but I have to get that for you here in a minute. But basically, what he's telling you is that they left. Fuck it.
I got a call, man. Just kick me out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and cape on this Africa as the birthplace of all shit. You just can't prove that. You know, not in the whole or the migration theory. You can't prove that either. But there is a more susceptible migration that the way that
Well,
I told you, the way that they put down shipping lanes now and shit. I don't think that
who
we
do the
just think that this
pygmies?
world was so simple.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Trey.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, bro. Keep cooking. That was my fault.
No, last thing I'll say is just if shipping is the same as it was then, people move the same as they was then. There's no way we can track migration patterns from any amount of time, probably over 2,000 years. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because it's impossible. Too many people move. Too many people are doing stuff. But the seas and the thing is, a lot of people don't know about the rivers of America. America used to be a river-run country. Everything moved by the river. Until they dammed up all these rivers, you could go anywhere you want in America by a boat until they dammed up all these rivers. So everybody was seafarers in those days in small, micro, and macro. Some people were river tradesmen. Some people were actual buccaneers. You know what I'm saying? So this movement shit and trying to place it down to a certain place is I just think it's a fruitless, you know what I'm saying? I just think it's a rabbit hole. But go ahead, Hart.
Uh, I agree. I don't think it's fruitless, but I do think it's a deep rabbit hole. But some of these rabbit holes we got to go down. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna ask you, where do the pygmies? Who do the pygmies say they come from?
I can't remember that. You got to tell me that. I thought they said they come from the ground, but I know it said in some literature from the West. And um,
I
over here
like
in
when you said
America,
West, because in the text, let me give you a jewel. In the
Y'all hear
Egyptian
me?
text,
Can
they
y'all hear
call.
me now?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Oh,
brother.
sir, I was trying to talk to y'all, wouldn't hear me, but that William Perry is connected with like pseudo history, y'all. Where's that identifiable in science with a William Perry being?
Oh, he's identifiable. His haplogroup, but to your argument,
No,
Ali,
no, y'all got to pull that up and share it because supposedly that's pseudo history, like that people are use that in
I ain't. We
videos and
talk about
stuff.
genetics, not history. Just genetics.
No. What I'm saying is that people will use that in connection with certain videos, and I've heard that name before.
Well,
But
yeah,
no,
people will
where do you
misuse
see
it.
it?
You
So
know how
where do you
people will
see that at?
misuse it. I
Right,
can't
but
speak to.
yeah, but y'all both just agreed on that.
I don't think so. I don't because
Yes, you
I
did.
ain't.
He said and you agreed to
I
it.
didn't go in deep on it though. It's more nuanced than that. Let me say that because
Nuance.
I was gonna give you a nuance that's to your credence, to your argument that we're actually arguing against his is the AOO people that's in Africa. That's to your point. That's why I say this thing is not something that's we should just like. I'm gonna take this claim and I know this with just beliefs because yes, William Perry does have a very old Y chromosome. The issue with that is we
No,
have
you
that.
just did it again. It doesn't exist. That's
What do you
something that
mean it
people have been
doesn't exist?
Google it and
It
look it up.
does.
Like
It
I
does.
remember that. I was one. No, it don't. Okay, show me shit. Pull up. where it's proven that William Perry is not pseudo history, and what people were using in the videos to push their own push their own knowledge. Show me where that exists, and it's
Ali,
older
when you
than the
say
Adam.
pseudo history, I'm not okay. Let me
It's
get an
not
understanding.
real. People,
So you
you know,
saying
people that
his
make
DNA
videos.
is not real? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes, yes.
Okay, all right then.
See,
Somebody got
pull
to
that
pull
up.
it up for him.
You got to
If
pull
he
me up.
feel
If
that
you
way.
agree, y'all both agree. No, y'all both agree with it though.
Well, I agree with the science that I've read on it as far as the haplogroups, and he might not agree with everything I say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand the DNA placement they did by that, and to what they did, I'll agree to some parts of it, but some parts I do not because they changed the classification of the AOO when they found his DNA to put him in Africa. So there are some places of that where science has moved the goalpost a little bit on that whole breakdown. But William Perry is absolutely real. Like I said, legendary Chief Top Cat here, LDBC boxing. He used to do boxing, but now he does genealogy and stuff like that. He does breakdowns on that. They actually did a whole build on that on the DNA genome, broke it down to the molecule with the names and everything. So,
Well,
I-
brother Ali want to see it, so I think it's only right that Trey Blue pull it up. I think it's a fair. If he don't know
That's
it's
not
real, I
real.
think it's
There's
fair.
a person named William Perry, but
No, I'm
that
talking about that actual DNA.
no,
If
there's no
okay,
DNA.
so if he's arguing that, it's only fair to Ali that we pull it up to your YP. It's only fair. But I disagree with some things. I think it's Trip, right?
yeah, it's
Okay.
Henrietta. Henrietta Lacks had another American older DNA
What's
incident.
Henrietta Lacks haplogroup? You
But
got to
that was
tell. You
about
got to be
her.
specific with Ali. You got to tell him. He gonna challenge you. I know William Perry's haplogroup, Ali, so I'm gonna speak on it. I don't know Sister Henrietta Lacks haplogroup, but the AOO is in Africa, but Ali, it's a different subclass. That's what the argument is.
Yeah, but we know it ain't. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
We know it ain't Henrietta Lacks because her blood. Remember, her blood was used
For AIDS.
for different diseases and stuff like that. Like that. Remember her
AIDS
family was still
specifically.
well more than AIDS, man. Cancer. Well, HIV. Yeah. AIDS too. But the polio, everything, like different stuff, man. Her blood is like amazing.
It's like gold.
Hella, what would they
And
call
you
it?
know they
Hella
found some
cells? I
like
think they call it like hella cells or HeLa cells. But what's the name? That she wasn't used for that. Henrietta Lex DNA was not the oldest DNA.
well, I don't know if it was or wasn't, because I don't know her haplogroup.
No, it wasn't.
What's her haplogroup?
I'd have to. I can't actually remember. I didn't study Henrietta like that, but I'd have to remember what her
So
haplogroup.
I'm not gonna make
I
a
put it in
staunch
the
claim
back.
because she might have
It said
that L.
L3.
She
It
might
said
have
L.
that LO, and if she got that LO, then
Hey,
hey,
hey, try put it in the back. Look at the back chat. He put in the back
Oh,
chat.
it's a haplogroup.
L3. That's of the oldest right there. That's pretty old, but that's also in Africa, so
Yeah, it was L3, and that's Africa.
and
So
that's in
so yeah,
Africa. So
that's Africa. So that's over. That debate's done already, real quick. But we got to find. We got
No,
to.
it's
You
not.
must be
No,
talking
it's
about
not.
refrigerator. You must be
but you
talking about
got to look at the
refrigerator.
specific
He
look
must be
at
talking
the
about refrigerator pair.
Well, you
nah,
got to
that
ask
ain't
yourself this, Ali.
don't do that to brother William Perry. Nah, Ali.
He's talking
We
about
not gonna do that
refrigerator
to brother.
pair.
We gonna honor this brother right. We gonna do our due diligence and we gonna pull it up.
So the question would be again, going back to a certain place. Is the question is that people came from Africa to come to America, or is the question that people come from America to come to Africa? Or is it a question that maybe these two peoples actually were somewhat together in commerce and lifestyle and
They
living?
all have the
We have
same
No,
we
common
have
no.
ancestry.
We
thank
made
you.
me and him
Let
both.
me finish.
Oh,
Let me
I
finish.
thought you landed.
The
I thought you
pyramids,
landed.
the pyramids here and the pyramids in Egypt all correlate together. There are also some of the stuff like bass. We actually have a figure like that in the Americas, in
Sure
the
do.
black So when you start talking about religious and rights and all that stuff, the jaguar skin that's on those pharaohs, the jaguar skin from America. The pharaohs had
No,
cocaine in
those
their
are
blood.
leopards, bro.
well, leopards, you know what I'm saying?
But jaguars are in America and leopards are in
Yeah,
Africa.
but I'm saying you know, the spotted garb in white. What else? Cocaine in the mummies. Also, Osiris
That just
born
mean they
deity.
possibly had contact with America during the dynastic Egypt.
Right, big contact with America. If you have multiple mummies with this cocaine in their system, I mean, I don't know. I mean, shipping
But that
kilos,
shows you that the Nile River
1400.
is not the Mississippi River, bro. Because during that time, the Nile I can pull up the text and
Did he
show
move
you
this
what the
son out?
Nile is called in the text.
Well, they say the Nile is the Mississippi by tributaries. The Nile has 7, and I think in the Bible they say it's supposed to have 9 or something like that. Don't get me on the numbers for sure, but I've seen that
Nah, the
break.
Nile River is called the Hapi in the Egyptian text, and they talking about the one in Africa. They're not talking about the one.
Hold on. We going everywhere, but what we said that we asked the risk. Come on, y'all. Come on. Let's not do that.
That's fair, Ali. That's
Is
fair.
there anything, any DNA gene older than the Adam gene and the Eve gene? Can you pull that up, please? That shows that we don't just derive right now all 99.9% of our genes DNA from Africa. Please, that's what I want to know.
It's a fair question, Blue.
You want me to do what?
He wants you to pull up William Perry DNA. Type this in. William, and then Perry is Perry.
All right, hold on. Oh, that's why he said refrigerator period.
Yeah, that's why he said that, being funny.
Hold on, y'all. I got it. Hold on. I wonder what Mulatto went, man. He ain't come
And then
back.
type in A, capital A, double O, 2 O's.
Hold on. What you want me to do now? Is that right?
Type capital A, space, capital A, 2 O's. Not the number 0. I'm sorry. Space, and then put scholarly article.
Oh, my bad. Hold on.
Scholarly, SCHOLARLY.
Oh, I thought you said Scarlet. Hold on. Let me go back. Say it again.
Scholarly.
Hold on. Let me see. Scott. Hold on. CH what?
SCHOLARLY.
Okay, hold on. All right, there we go.
Yeah, I hit enter joint. Now, the extremely ancient that isn't. Hit that article. And look at the date on it. Scroll down a little bit. All right, look at it. Show the date. Right, go back up real quick. Do it show. Go up a little more. A little more. What's that date right there?
January 22nd, 2014.
All right, this is pretty old. There's some newer ones, but we can look at this one. Ali, what you think? You want to look at this one? You want to go get some newer ones? I think we should get the newer ones.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We looking for William Perry.
That's it right there. But there's
Who?
different articles on it.
Who? Albert Perry. What is it saying? Is this where's the
I'm
site for
sorry. Am I
this?
saying William and it's Albert? I'm tripping.
No, come on. It's supposed to be, that says Albert. Ain't nothing about that say William.
Yeah, it might. Okay. Did I mean I was saying it wrong? When it's talking about the ancient DNA, I was saying his name wrong. Then it's Albert Perry.
Yeah, you was. I didn't. I thought so at first, but I couldn't remember his first name. My bad.
It's all good. We all players mess up. I was asking Ali if you want to get a more recent one.
A more recent what?
Article, because this is from 2014. And there's been updates to this.
I'd have to let me. I'm feeding my sons real quick. That's what I'm trying to
Okay.
That's why I'm going in and
Go
out.
back real quick, Blue, and see if we can find a new one and fix his name in the search engine. Maybe it'll come up better. Instead of William, put Albert. I don't know why I got William.
How did they know his name if he has the longest living DNA?
And he's documented.
Yeah, but how do they know his name though? Dang, I got to get a security check. Dang.
He's not that. This I think you got to admit. We're not saying that he was an older person that they found. They
Yeah, we
found
talk
a
about his
new.
DNA, bro.
Yeah, they found a person that was like, I don't know
Related
when
to
this
him.
happened. Like, yeah, and then they did some testing and realized this. My science is all about accident. You know what I'm saying? And if you think he the only one, then it's just a lot of black people, especially in them days, don't fuck with doctors. Let's just keep it real. Black people wasn't lining up around the block to go get their DNA scan. They shit. Look what happened in Tuskegee when they did some shit like that.
Yeah, that's still relevant today.
Oh, this is going back to that January 14th, this same one. See that?
Same one. Let me see. Let me help you out. Let me look.
Well, if they're using it as firsthand documentation, a lot of these articles will go back to that and use it as the premise. Because who knows if they still have remnants of that DNA anymore? Because usually what happens is they lose the DNA or too much of the DNA got corrupted. They have to go back to the old files and use that as a basis of firsthand. You know what I'm saying? To do anything else. You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going back to the same article right here.
All right, let's look at it. I got to pull it up on my computer.
All right, go ahead and read it.
Mendez and colleagues reported that the identification of a Y chromosome haplogroup, the AOO lineage, that lies at the basal position of the Y chromosome phylogenetic tree. Incorporating this haplotype, the authors estimated that the time most recent common ancestor for the Y tree to be 338,000 years ago. Such an extraordinarily early estimate contradicts all previous estimates in the literature and is over 100,000 years older than the earliest fossils of anatomically modern humans. That's not fully correct because of that man they found in Morocco, and they want to argue that that man isn't Homo sapien sapien when he is. Let me pull up that so I can show y'all.
So I want to make a point of this. You see how Harwin is climbing through all this stuff, and they're saying he's Homo sapien. That's why I'm saying some people just take everything. Y'all got to be careful taking everything these people give you sometimes.
For
You feel
first,
me?
yeah, that's why you do. You can't take it every. You got.
Mhm.
That's why I said look for a newer one because they will argue their last points and they'll look at his jawbone structure, etc., etc. So, baby, this is fossils discovered at Jebel Irhoud, Morocco, in 2017. So this is after this article was written. Trip. So when he
Okay.
was found, right, known as Homo sapiens remains, dating to approximately 300,000 to 315,000 years ago. See, this was in Africa. So we're gonna go back.
So let me ask you this: what made them test Albert Perry to trace him
Hey,
back?
it was an accident. I don't know exactly why they went in and checked his DNA per se, but I think that it was just, you fucking around with blood and shit, and a motherfucker doing probably a thesis paper or something and stumbled across it. I think that's what the story was. Like somebody just stumbled across it and was like, "Hey, well, look at this. Am I tripping?" And then they started actually studying it.
Here it go right here,
Can y'all
bro.
can y'all still
Albert
hear me?
Perry's DNA was this.
Can y'all hear
I'm
me?
sorry.
Yeah,
Can
a
y'all
little
still
bit,
hear me?
Ali. You kind of
Yeah.
So
low.
I'm
Albert
low.
Perry's unique DNA was discovered around 2012 when a female relative submitted a sample for routine genealogical testing to Family Tree DNA.
Oh,
The Y
okay.
Right.
chromosome did not match any known database, revealing an extremely rare ancient lineage now known as haplogroup AOO, which diverged from all other human male lineages approximately 338,000 years ago.
Yes.
He is
So
from
that's
South Carolina.
so that's what we have to clarify is that the branch, it branched off the atom. So that atom they found is still the oldest. It's the root. It's the actual root where that is the AO. You have the AOO, you have the AO, you have the A1, the BT, BE, CD, and it keeps going. It's a branch. So it's
But
still
wait, brother Ali. Let me read this to you. And let me tell you, this is to contrary to what you're saying. Michael
ha-
Hammer, a geneticist at the University of Arizona, helped determine that this new haplogroup was the most ancient ever discovered, predating the previously known Y chromosomal atom.
no, it's still West. I think that was West African, I think. Ended
The
up West
group,
African.
you talking about the Imbo
No,
people in
no.
the Cameroon.
That atom is that DNA they found is still from Africa.
You talking
It's not
about the
America.
Imbo people in
Yes.
Cameroon.
Yeah, no, no. Hold on, y'all. Let's not do what's the name did. It still come from Africa. We don't want to go all over the place. That DNA they found is the oldest one they found, but it's still from Africa. It's still considered
No,
part of the app. It's still considered.
Wait. It predates the one in Africa.
No, it
yeah,
doesn't
Now,
predate the
when you
one.
it does. He just said he just read it,
No. The oldest branch off from it's the
but he
oldest
said
branch.
it's older than that. No, he said it's
but
older than
wait a
the
minute,
atom.
that don't
No. Hold on,
go
y'all.
ahead, Ali. Go ahead.
Remember this: the Y chromosome is not a haplogroup. That's not. It's the root ancestor. The root DNA. It's not no haplogroup. It's just saying that's the root DNA. So it comes from. It's still a branch off that DNA the original DNA from Africa.
Well, there are different haplogroups that are that is different Y chromosomes.
Yes,
So
but that
that's
but
what it
when they
is.
when it's
But
yes. So when they're talking about the Y chromosome, the act just in itself, it's not a haplogroup within itself. What you're referring to is the oldest one they found within that. It's a branch off of it.
well, it is for a fact a branch because it's a AOO in West Africa, but
Yes.
it's the older subclad of the AOO in Africa. That's the argument.
No. The argument that I've made, just like you
No, but
made,
I'm
just so we
saying
don't.
I'm not talking about your argument. I'm saying that's what the data say. It's
Yeah,
a
I'm not. I'm
separate.
not.
It's a related. It's still related to your
It's still
point.
from
It's a
Africa.
branch.
It just from Africa. That's all we said. What's older? What's the older DNA? So just because the man was from America, don't make him from America.
What
It
we can
just
say
has.
is they were
Well,
definitely
he
related.
was from America. He had
No,
black Indian
the
lineage.
DNA. No, the DNA. We're talking about the DNA. Just because you took the jungle out, the line out the jungle, don't mean the jungle out the line. Like that
Uh,
DNA.
how long
Yeah.
does a person need to be in
The
a place
the
before they something else?
so
It
Let
no
me
no
takes
ask you that.
thousands of years. It takes thousands, like
Okay,
50,
so
it takes a very long time.
If Albert's parents people was in America for 100,000 years, are they still African?
Well, they genetically still related to the AOO
no.
people in
That's
Africa.
so. Can we
Here we
stop?
go.
That is a social construct. We got to stop saying
Right.
that the
Everything is a
original
Already.
social
human beings,
construct.
the original human beings, still came from that DNA that's in Africa. That's where majority of the variations are. Is from that
Right.
area.
That's
So
fact. That's
so
a fact.
Nobody disputes that. Who disputes that?
Well, the brother that was on here before that was kind of confused about it. I
What was he
don't know.
saying?
It's hard. He had to come up here and explain it. He was a little bit
no, I think
everywhere.
what he was doing was not having a bad faith argument. All of us would agree we don't know where that comes from either. So what he was doing, I think he wanted Haran to just admit that we don't know where we come from. But
Oh, that's a
And
lie.
that's
that's what
not
he.
true.
That's a lie. Everybody
Who?
comes from Africa. Every human
No, no,
being.
no, 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 no. Where does that
I'm
human
not gonna
being?
say that.
Where does that human being come from, though? Where does that DNA? Where does
Right.
that
Then that
originate
gets into
from?
evolution and
He
creationism
was
and
having that kind of
intelligent
conversation,
design versus
and you
Okay.
gave it to him later. You gave it to him later, and then it was a bad faith conversation. That's what he would try to
yeah,
say.
he wasn't trying to, he couldn't hear it. But that's
So
cool
Okay.
that
though. I've been that person before,
yeah.
you
So
know.
But
a
it
lot of
is.
times, people in our spaces, in this space, where we
I
try to
still
kind of
love
kind
them.
of come out of, is that they'll argue with you like you disagreeing, and you start disagreeing with them, but
Right.
you really agree with them. So you sitting there disagreeing with somebody that you actually agree with, but they talking to you like you
Right.
disagree
That's
with
why I
them.
kept trying to tell him, sir, you don't know my
You gotta keep
position
from
to
getting
have a debate with me.
you gotta keep from getting them kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Mm,
You
mm.
gotta pay
Yeah.
attention to it.
But Ali,
Okay.
that's why I asked the question that I asked, because if somebody doesn't have an actual position, it's hard to argue with them.
Are they coming in good faith is a real question.
Well, that's what Ali just said.
No, to Ali's point, he wasn't.
What happened? What happened?
Okay.
No, I was saying that the guy really he was debating Haran, but he didn't have no real.
He do that all the time. You got to know who he is, but that's where we got checkmate from. He was hilarious because he always say checkmate, even though he wasn't right. He just be saying checkmate. So what he did was get Haran going instead of just knowing what's going on. That's why we had to start perfecting, not getting like emotional with these people because they'll just have these conversations just to make you mad.
Yeah, because I actually wanted to build with the brother. I didn't want to debate with him.
I mean, he cool, man. He like kind of he be having intentional conversation, and all of a sudden he be playing. So I mean, but he's straight, man. But
man, that
let's not
nigga
stray too far from the point
insane.
though. To Ali's point, the brother Albert Perry's Y chromosome shows for a fact that people what we call Africa today and people what we call in America today come from a common ancestor.
That was
why?
Earlier.
Because even though the AOO is Albert Perry's AOO is a separate subclad that is older, it's still related to the Imbo people in West Africa.
Exactly.
That's what Ali's saying, and
that's
he's correct.
all I'm saying. It's still African.
He's correct in that. From that perspective,
but
he's correct.
then I have to push back and say, how do you not know that those people are not related to us in America?
I didn't say they wasn't. I didn't say they wasn't. That's why I asked you about the pigmies.
But that's why I said you can't say which one came first or which one is second. You know what I'm saying? Because you just can't. You can't say
the argument was that the argument was that they from Africa, the region of Africa. They don't technically make them African, but the variation, the most variation,
the diverse variations in Africa.
But all of it is social construct. Race is a social construct. Nationality is a social construct. But the variation of DNA is in the cluster is completely different situation, and that's how they usually label the races as well too. But that is a fact that where we coming from, that region, from that DNA.
But Trip, what you can argue is this, Trip. These mutations come from, like the brother Ali explained, environmental impressions, meaning the environment you live in can make your body adapt to be more sufficient in that environment.
Yes. And I believe
how do you know?
Pre-coded.
Go ahead, Ali.
I believe we pre-coded.
Pre what?
Pre-coded.
That's intelligent design. That's a whole nother conversation. Don't go there yet. don't go there yet, because I know. But it's going to lead to that, though. This is going to lead to that. It can't help but lead to that, because then you have to talk about where that DNA come from. That's why I asked Brother Tripp. But who do the pygmies say they come from? Because even the original Americans were small people. They even still, in some situations, call themselves Kwe. All over the world, Kwe.
I would say that they come from here, but I mean,
but you don't know that either. You can't prove
that. Yeah, for sure. I can prove some of it, but I can't say that because they're all over. So I can't say for sure that they were in one area. Like I can't say for sure that black people.
And this is why you can't, because there are at times when we speak of Pangea, the environment. There's been times where all these lands were tropical, including Antarctica.
Of course.
So if a tropical environment causes these impressions or mutations on your DNA to be this many different genetic diversities within a tropical climate, how do we know we all wasn't on Antarctica a million years ago? How do we know?
That's why the point is kind of moot.
We don't know. Exactly.
Right. That's what makes the point kind of moot about that whole thing. You know?
So what we can focus on is that we all have a common ancestor. With land mass is another conversation. But what we do know, even Albert Perry's DNA proves we have a common ancestor. So the young brother that was on here, I don't know how old he was. I'm young too, whatever. The brother that was on here, he was
point about being indigenous to America.
His point is that he hates the out of Africa theory, and anything that sounds similar to that, he gonna attack it.
Oh, that's a white supremacist trope.
That nigga name is multi-generational. To go by that, he argues in a roundabout way where you'll never know what his true stance is. Yeah, and he's one of them people that's on the internet just to go checkmate. You know what I'm saying? It's just
right.
It's circular conversation
together and come to understanding so we can become one again. I'm not here for the debate, but debating is going to happen because debate leads to answers. But are we going to take them answers and implement them within each other as a people and use them for our good?
Well, I believe it starts here first. I think the whole world is watching us. When we, as Black Americans, come back to our natural state, I hate to say follow the laws of the Most High, but it is sort of based in that, because if we follow those laws with each other, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems we have. And then once we get down to those kind of things, we can start doing commerce together and then help other people because the rest of the world, I believe, is waiting on us. They all watch us. They watch our music. They watch our style. They watch the gold and the diamonds in our teeth. They watch Blu-ray got the shades on. I seen some Africans the other day with
they was wearing gold teeth in ancient Egypt, bro.
You gotta understand, I be having shades on because I be trying to block that ring light, but
yeah. I thought you just trying to be Blu-ray.
Hell no. You see that big old bright light?
Yeah, I need one of them. That make you look clear though. You look.
Yeah, it be hurt my eyes. That's why I be.
No,
that's why I have glasses on. I'm always looking down. Because if I look
I never will say that the Egyptian Empire and the what you call it Maya Olmec Zaki Empire is two different groups. So when people talk about Egypt, I always say
you
America.
Wouldn't say they two different groups.
I don't think. I think that I would say this. They are two different groups, but they're not two different groups because they basically have shared cultural identity, which means the American black who ran the American Peninsula and the so-called African Egyptian black, they actually shared wives. They had commerce together. There are some women that are from America that was pharaoh nieces over there, and there are some pharaohs that came to America that became the Quetzalcoatls, the wise men as they call them. Quetzalcoatl is not a man; it's actually a designation. You know what I'm saying? To paint yourself white.
Both,
it can be both.
It can be both.
They can be both. Cause some niggas are born with it. That's what they call Magiism in Egypt. Because it's all tied. So
I get what you're saying. I ain't gonna nitpick.
Yeah. I mean, you could break down the words. I'm not gonna say I'm a word.
That's why I said I understand the point you're making. I get it. You saying that these people have common ancestors and common culture.
Yeah. So
I ain't gonna give you no pushback. I ain't gonna give you no pushback.
Now the one that gets sticky would be Asia because Asia lost their empire with the Xi family, the Black Dragons, earlier than anybody else did because of the mulatto Mongolian invasion. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say it depends on what part of Asia you talking about, but you must be talking about China and all that.
Yeah, China is the Xi dynasty, which the first 10 dynasties.
Say Xi.
Yeah, Xi dynasty, which
now
was
what are the Olmecs called?
The Xi as well. You know what I'm saying? So
there you go.
All right. So I like that's what I said. When you see that's the thing.
Hold on, what's the South Americans called? What's one of the main tribes?
In South America, the Washita, the Washita. Yeah. Right. You're right. I mean that XI is very, very prominent in the Americans and even in like Zoto. You know what I'm saying, or what you would call what do they call him in Egypt? The dog.
You talk about Anpu, who the Greeks call Anubis.
Yeah, Anubis. Yeah, that dog is an American dog. That dog head.
It's two similar animals that live in same
one is a jackal
environments,
and one is a dog. The dog that we have in America looks more like Anubis than that jackal. But again,
you gotta look at the text, bro. That's not true. I can show you some text that you'll be like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
I ain't talking about. Well, I'm just talking about looking at two things. I've seen that Zoto dog, and I said, okay.
And I'm giving you the pushback
if you have two different
the Afrocentric people will give you, so you can be
right.
You can.
I don't
you know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna get on there and argue this dumb. Yeah, man. Let's talk about some. Yeah, when I get with them, I start saying, "Let's talk about some money." Goddamn it, I don't. Because we building, we can have this. That's why I told him when I first met you.
Yeah,
I can talk to a person like you because we can go back and forth and it don't become emotional and it don't become.
Yeah, we can disagree respectfully.
Contest. Yeah, I don't need to piss and. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these dudes, they like. It's like their identity and shit. I'm like, I really got a real.
It is because if they go there with me, I'll just say, "Hey, Blue, hit the share screen and get to really going there with them." But
right,
it ain't.
What you say, Ishmael, brother?
Y'all talking about Pan-Africans?
A lot of hey, there's some so-called Indians out here to do the same damn thing. So I'm not gonna.
That's right. It's just from a different perspective.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I'm not gonna say.
They both get a little crazy-ish.
Yeah, they're primarily the same person.
They both get a little crazy.
Yeah. They want us to all be linked directly as if we're continental Africans. Those of us who are here right now.
Yeah.
I'm not talking what y'all were talking earlier, but they want to tie us in to be a continental African when that don't even exist anymore for us to link our lineage directly back to that. The majority of that doesn't even exist. Those things were
I don't know
destroyed.
about majority, but I would say that it's a little more
Majority.
nuanced. It's nuanced.
And one thing I want
You
to
can't say that, OG, because this. Long before the transatlantic slave trade, the indigenous Americans have oral traditions of having contact with Africans. So there's no way we can say at what point are we not African and are African, because these terminologies are destroying us. That's why I was showing the brother what they was calling themselves in China, they ancient black dynasty, on to the black dynasties in America. And then I can show you some different African words to show you that these things, we were more related at an older time than what we think. When you get to talk about the she, when you get to talk about Nuibi, when you get to talking about Kwe, when you get to talk about these things, you see these people on different continents and they got different or certain linguistic connections that's connected. Then they got certain cultural things that's connected. They talk about Atlantis. The Greeks talk about how the Egyptian priests told them about Atlantis, Solon. But then you got over here in the Mayan joints, you got the Atlan place.
And they even got, and the white people even got a new name for this shit. It's called Tartaria. If you go look up all this Tartaria shit online, that's actually our shit. That's us.
So
that's what we
that's
were
why
doing
I try
before
not to say
1820.
to separate us. I'm more so bringing us together. I don't even want to have that debate about well, I'm more this, well, I'm more that. And it's like, I'm more indigenous American. Well, we're Pan African. And it's like,
that's a fruitless debate. And that's a fruitless argument. The where you're going to bear fruit and where you're going to actually build is when you start staking claim and taking away some of that degeneracy that people been throwing on us. That's where I stand. Okay, that's why I stand on Foundation of Black American any day. We can talk haplogroups, we could talk Albert and Henrietta Lacks and all that. That's great. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I would never say that I'm not African or I don't have some type of African genetics, even though we can't trace nothing that goes with our family nowhere. And we've done deep trace. Okay, not saying it's not there. However, comma. Okay, there's a big distinction, especially what's going on nowadays. I don't like to go too far back in the ancients. I'm from the field of study with, the folks like a Mr. Neely Fuller, Shahrazad Ali, and those folks. Okay, nothing wrong with what Dr. John Henry Clark and those others did and the greatness that they did. But one thing you'll say for sure is, where did they come from? They come from here. So we were teaching them over there about themselves. They didn't even know about themselves. I'm talking about the continental Africans. It's not.
Well, Jope and Obinga from Africa, so
that's not a dig. That's not a dig or diss. It's just the facts. Okay.
Well, but I'm just saying, check on a Jope and Theophila Binga from Africa.
For sure. But where did people even go and say that about Fela Kuti in music? Who was their predecessor? Who was their progenitor? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know who Jope progenitor is, but Jope is a continental African that proved that the Egyptians were Black Africans.
For sure, yeah, for sure. We'll never deny things.
And then Theophila Binga was right there with him, and he proved that it's an African language.
Right.
And that don't have nothing to do with continental us over here in America. They did that on their own.
They did. That I'll give you that for sure. But how far do you have to keep going back to try and find a connection when you got connections right here? The reason I stand on that is because everyone looks past what's right in front of you. And I ain't just talking about a land mass. I'm talking about your people. Literally, your grandma, granddaddy.
Right.
What did they go through? What is your link and connection to them to keep things moving forward? Okay, that history is.
You want me to answer that? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm saying? No, go ahead.
No, I was asking if you wanted me to answer that because it was a good question, but I didn't know if it was rhetorical.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm with you, but I think that we should go back, because if you don't go back, then you can't tell the whole truth. And the whole truth is this: all of this is ours, and we shouldn't have no less. And if you don't claim it, then where do we go from there? How can we argue about anything? How can we say, well, this is mine? Well, this over here is mine. Well, I'm this. Well, I'm this. When the enemy is going so far back as to try to say that this is not you, and to say this ain't you. The enemy's still telling you not Native American, even though they Congress got to agree that it is. The enemy's still telling you to this day that that's not you in Egypt. To this day, 2026.
Sure.
To this day, they telling you that these things have no connections. To this day. But your grandmothers said they were this. And in their oral traditions where they was from Africa.
Hold on. Not all of them. See, that's where the distinction comes in.
All of
Really,
what?
I don't even like the argument.
Not all of what?
Coming from there. There were several. You can find families upon families where they say we ain't come from no Africa.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm one of them families.
Yeah, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
even if you a continental African and have your oral traditions, or if you're indigenous American, have your oral tradition. Even if they didn't say they was African, in their oral traditions, they tell you that y'all won.
I used to actually be a Pan-Africanist and tried to push that to my family. My family took me to this town called Seguin, Texas, where we got this land and shit in a house there. And they laid out all of our genealogy in a church book and pictures and all this shit and was like, nigga, you was an Indian. I'm tired of you coming around everybody talking about we Africans and shit. They was like, if Big Mama heard you, she'll beat your ass if you was saying that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
dope.
So,
no, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
That's really more of the stance that I look at, other than going back and forth with someone that want to stand on indigenous claim. And when you mentioned earlier, Brother Hart, when you were saying that, where do we start to stake the claim? To me, that's kind of, I keep going back and saying that those things are moot points. Yeah, it is all ours. But what do you say is ours when there are those that come from other places, primarily the continent and the Caribbean, that want to stake claim on something they didn't necessarily cultivate? Okay, if they didn't cultivate that, and you come to another person's land, they don't want to call it our land. They'll say, "Oh, you got that from the white man." Oh no, that's a lie. No,
that's a product of colonialism, though, bro. They were taught that, just like you was taught that, and I was taught that.
Of course.
So you asking me to fix the same problem we got to fix in our own community?
How so? How we fixing it in our own community?
I said we have to fix it. I ain't say we have. I said we need.
No, I know.
What I'm saying, meaning that we need to.
How do we do that?
Well, the answer to all of that is.
What are you asking to fix? Let's be more specific. Yeah, break down. What do you want? What are you saying to fix? Are you talking about economically fixing it? Are you talking about families? Because there's a lot of stuff in the minute.
All of it. We're not unified. We're not unified.
How do you? Well,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we ever.
Wait a minute.
So you don't think we'll ever do that? So you saying we incompetent, bro?
No. Who?
No, it's not about incompetence. It's about us recognizing that we actually have an enemy within that we haven't been able to point out, which is that Black European bloodlines who actually run this country.
Yeah.
Or you want to call them the Boule, or you want to call them the Divine Nine, or whatever you want to call them. Not all of them, but the ones that go to the A. I'm just telling you, there is a.
No,
I don't believe that
America all that, brother. I'm saying we got to acknowledge all that.
Okay, yeah, I agree with acknowledging all of that. I wouldn't necessarily say, the actions of many of them are, of like an enemy. I wouldn't call them the common enemy, because the common enemy is always going to be the system of white supremacy to me. That is the common enemy.
Created by them, though.
Say again now.
That was created by them. You got to remember, these are their kids. If we're gonna go into that Murray shit and all that, they raised these people to be like this. They couldn't read, they couldn't write, they couldn't talk. Who taught them this? You know what I'm saying? This is their kids.
They were in Rome, and some of them could. It ain't a uniform thing, but I get.
I ain't saying in 100%, but I'm saying in mass. If you read that book, Dirt,
but the elite class that come from those families you talk about who are European, indeed could do those things.
Even the banking, what's them people we always talking about to run the banks? They started off so-called black. What's their name? Everybody always talking about
it. They identify it. Yeah, they identify it. They know that. And
yeah, so we
about the Rockefellers.
That's for sure.
Yeah, the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, the Red Shield is actually a black family that they started off started a war, blah blah blah, shorted the banks in the UK, and that's how they got on. But these were so-called black European people. If you go back deep enough, you'll find pictures of them.
Black, but
I mean, when you say black, I'm saying they were curly haired, hairline receding, dark people. That good?
They are Asiatic people.
There we go. That's why the most honorable.
They are, and not the original Asiatics. I know the original Asiatics were black. No, I'm not talking about them. They are steppe people.
That's why
that is an amalgamation of different so-called what we call European and Euro-Asian people.
The right term.
These people ain't black like us.
Asiatic is the right term, brother, because that's where a lot of.
When I start using that, then Asiatic, if that's.
Oh yeah.
Just say Indo-European, bro.
Yeah. Yeah,
people that don't know the terminology and stuff, but take that and run with it. Like, man, these Nah, we got to be specific when we having these conversations.
And also,
As
you have to
specific
deal
as
with,
possible.
and I'll tell you that before we get to solutions, the one thing you have to deal with is the magician's code. Like my cousin was a mason, so I used to read his books in the house. The biggest trick a mason can pull or a magician is to make the public think that his apprentice is actually the master. That's one of the terms. So they'll put a white, like I'll give you this: a black person can put a white person in power position and play like he's subservient to him, but actually be the master. Because once you master that trick, you're a master mason. Because then when they come storming the castle, they'll kill him and not you, and you continue to rule.
But then Trip, this would go down a rabbit hole because then the black Masons be like, nah, brother, but the original Masons was black. You know what I'm saying? I got the
Yeah, yeah,
Hollowell document and they talk about how
yeah, yeah.
how
They,
how your
they,
man's got it, the
the
geometry from
the
ancient
Shemaz
Egypt, brother.
demon, yeah, that demon, that nigga Solomon had all them demons working on that castle and shit with that Shemag worm and shit, the Shemar worm
Yeah.
or whatever. I feel you, my nigga.
You know what I'm saying? It's gonna go down a whole every
No,
direction.
but that's why I said solution based to me is a militant mindset, but it doesn't have to be. But the militancy can't just be preventative. But we do have black dudes out here. I was just looking at some black dudes on YouTube that got gun clubs and all that shit now. And I think that a lot of things, I think a lot of things are coming together because of the internet that we don't have to really do. I think that a lot of these conversations that Blu-ray and them have with these women on these panels is actually a part of that, teaching them
Big part.
I like to say home training. If you want to say what a man and a woman is supposed to be doing, even when they don't want to hear it, it's not about them. It's about the ones that's actually there to receive it. That's a part of it. You know, we got our guys doing the military outdoors training. We got people going back to actually following the laws of the, like I say, the Most High, which is, you know, doing good to be good. You know, it's not; those are not bad laws to follow, even if you're not religious. You know what I'm saying? And I think those things are coming together outside of the internet more and more. To be honest with you, murder is down across all states with black
Over
people right
30
now.
years. Yeah, yeah, it's
Yes,
a
for
30-year
all.
low across the country.
Hey man,
And
shout
if
out
y'all
to
don't
us,
know,
man.
these young niggas got their kids.
Now,
All my young niggas got their kids. They don't care about none of that shit y'all was going through, where they was like, oh, the tribes, man, them motherfuckers grabbing their kids. All my young niggas
for
between
sure.
20, 25, they got their kids. Not they seeing their kids. They taking them and saying, I'm the daddy. I got this. You go do what you want to do. I got my kids. And I'm telling you, if you actually go around these young niggas, you will notice a lot of them have their kids. That is a total
Salute to
opposite of
them.
what it was 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So things are
Yeah,
happening.
shout out to them.
It's just-
Why you
you
think it's
got,
happening though?
cuz shit, it's getting hot, baby. It's getting. We got to.
Let
I
me tell
told
you
you
something.
when the pressure get on your back, we ain't sheep that go in a corner and bay. We tigers. You put me in a corner, I'm gonna fight my way out. You try to hunt me, I'll end up hunting you. You know what I'm saying? So you put a tiger in a bad position, he gonna be a tiger. You feel me?
So let's talk about the solution so we can let Ish get in. I think, hey, Blue, you and I kind of met. We was having these conversations about what should we do as a people, which led to showing out how we are. Some of us are indeed indigenous here and all of that, and then me showing that document from the Congress.
If I'm being real, though, none of that matters if I'm being honest.
Give your opinion. Go ahead.
It's only two ways: with blood, or we getting a system and infiltrated 100%.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
Or both.
Because I feel like if we gonna go back to ideology, that's a rabbit hole, because we got too many different people pulling on two different sides of the spectrum on who we are and what we are. So forget it. We melanated. Let's come together based off that. Either we're gonna fight for our freedom, or we're gonna get in a system and infiltrate it like these Somalians doing, and we're gonna feed our own people, and we're gonna get in power, and we're gonna regulate. Bro, the only way you're gonna get, we're gonna undo this, my nigga, by strong arming. One way or the other. It ain't no other way, bro.
So I say do both, but in order to do both, we gotta be, like you said, come together under some common goal. That's why I say we need to stop arguing about pulling those two sides about what I'm indigenous here, I'm indigenous there, and just come together as a whole on this common theme that you just mentioned. And to do that, there's a blueprint already laid out. We seen the Jews do that, and all they did was reconstruct their language. say what their culture is. They assume that culture, and then they take that and fight for their human rights. Then when you get human rights, while you're doing that, you can build up your influence on politics, how they did when they did with the banks, with the money. And that goes to the point when you mentioned infiltration. But because to
The
even go
only
to
reason,
war, you got to fund that war.
let me give you a little pushback on that. The only reason I don't believe that will work because they were actually subsidized. Their criminality was subsidized by the government. Our criminality will never be subsidized by the government
Facts.
because the Jewish mafia, excuse me, the small hat mafia, it still runs today. Small hat mafia is why that state is over there right now. They made a deal with a country,
The Zionists.
and they also strong armed the country out of all their money. The Britain and got to this point where they run the banks. They did a bunch of fraud and it was legalized by government. Now, would they let us get away with that? No. That's why if we were going to do it, it's going to be a totally different battle. Like he said,
I'm
it's
saying,
going to turn to blood.
you make good points. I don't disagree with they just gonna let us do that. You right, but that's why I said we got to do both. So it sounds like you saying we can't do nothing.
No, I'm not saying we can't do nothing. I'm just saying people need to be prepared for what they really talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I
I
agree.
don't want to say this is the internet, so I'm going to tread lightly, but I'm just saying we
I
can
got
do
you. I
something.
got
Yes, and I think things are getting prepared to do something. It's just when things get going, people cannot say because it's hard or things or stuff is flying everywhere and all this they want to quit. Once we take a step into this fire, we got to walk all the way across.
Facts.
And this time, it can't be no stopping. It can't be no let's make a concession. It can't be no bill. It's got to be 100% what we want, or it's gonna be this until we
Right.
get what we want. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be chaos until there'll be peace. You
Oh,
feel
I
me? And
agree.
unfortunately,
I agree.
that's the only play because that's the play they ran. The thing is, they never are prepared for anybody else to do this. Now, I was in the military. Afghanistan actually ran this play to where they had to leave that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Vietnam ran this play until they had to leave that bitch. You see what I'm saying? Korea ran this play until they had to split up the country. We'll take the South and y'all take the North because this is too much. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. We
when
don't
you
disagree, bro. I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
so that's all I'm saying. If you're gonna fight, you're gonna fight. You can't get in the boxing ring and start fighting the second round. So that nigga
But we
hit
got
hard.
to
I don't
to
want.
Blue's
I don't
point. We
want.
got to infiltrate in a way to do these things.
But you
And at
have
some
to
We
point, we
know
got to
don't.
have
who.
a conversation about spirituality and how that plays an
But you also
impact
have
on
to
this.
know who your enemy is from within. So you we can say that you
That's
don't
why you
have to
got to
identify
infiltrate.
with anybody. That's not necessarily.
Ishmael, you know who our enemy is? Everybody.
Say again.
It's a good point.
That's
What you
right.
say?
That's right, bro. Everybody got to be questioned until they can
Everybody.
prove otherwise. You
It's
don't
a good
Our,
know.
our
point.
enemy is everybody.
Right. Until you have put enough on the soil or put enough equity in this shit, everybody kind of got to be, and also the real gonna be the real. I told you this before, how when we having these conversations because we are higher level, just like the pyramid theory. There's only a few of us is at this level that can think in a 360-degree thinking. We
Yeah, but
cannot
we got to
expect
bring our
everybody else.
people up with us because we can't do it alone.
We can't. We can't.
It's our duty to responsibility. It's our duty and
I agree.
responsibility
I agree.
to our
But
people.
remember, it's always a hierarchy. So you
I
have a
ain't knocking
rulership
that.
mentality. You have a rulership mentality. If you're in a rulership position, you have to accept when you're a ruler and people work underneath you. Now they can rule in their section, but there also always has to be a hierarchy. The way you think puts you in a position of a hierarchy. When you accept that, you'll understand that a king has to be a king. If other people can be in positions, you can be my top knight, but
What
you
you
ain't the
talking about is
king.
culture, bro.
Facts. Facts.
Yeah,
That's
but
always my
even
answer to this topic, though.
your
Yeah,
answer
but
is culture.
this culture is based on even the dumb nigga want to be king. He don't want to play a
No,
position. He
This
don't
ain't no
want to play
culture at
a
all.
position.
no,
This
no.
is the
That's what
anti-culture.
I'm
This
saying.
is not.
This is a
Sometimes,
response.
sometimes the crash out need to know you got a position to play. Play that. Don't
Of
try to
course,
be in my position. Play
but that's
your
not the
position.
culture. That's the underbelly of the culture. That's not
Hey,
everything.
all of it counts. Because remember, I
It
said the
does.
pyramid theory. If you actually look at the steles of South America, they tell you that there's people at the top, and all of them had jobs that go down a pyramid. There's people gonna need to farm. There's soldiers. There's crash outs. All of them have a position. You might think it's the underbelly, but they are needed. You need them people. You know what I'm saying?
The problem with what you're saying is you don't create nothing or go by something that shows someone over someone. Okay, that is not a way, because we saw that failed. You understand what I'm saying? That failed.
Well, hierarchy is innate in our in the way that we process information and the way that we do things. It's always going to be a hierarchy. At your job, it's a hierarchy. At any corporation, anything you do in life, getting money is going to be a hierarchy. So I'm not saying you got to be over a person, but what I'm saying is there has to be adherence to those hierarchies and just be good at what you're good at. Because when you're good at what you're good at, you'll be happy. When you try to step outside go ahead.
Here's the information that turns into knowledge, not necessarily where a person sits. And okay, if you can process information better, then turn that into knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, that doesn't necessarily put you at a higher level. That puts you in a better position. See, these things, in my opinion, these are where things have to change, or where the rubber meets the road. Okay, because you can look at someone and think that they might not know what they're talking about until you get into these intellectual discussions. You see what I'm saying? That's where the rubber really meets the road. And you want to, that's military strategy, what you're saying. That works on the battlefield. Trust me, I understand. Okay.
I can see from your picture.
You know what I'm saying?
I can see from the picture.
That definitely works on the battlefield. Literally physical battlefield. Now you're talking about back here, even though we are in a technical battlefield behind enemy lines to a degree, you have to switch it up a bit. You have to change it up a bit. And I like to also, you want to talk about a pyramid and hierarchy. It is more towards the way we are building things more than you talk about an individual. Dr. Claude Anderson stated how we build our communities from the top to the bottom at different levels and different floors, and where we do those types of things. And he has been on point since the 80s in telling us about these different things that we're encountering today.
I don't think what you brothers are saying is contradicting, though.
No, we're not. Because we're not gonna contradict. It's just he's actually saying two things that I do believe in. There is a physical prowess to this, and then there's an intelligence. I like to use the word intelligence prowess to this. And in intelligence, you do have to maneuver in different ways, but the principles are still somewhat the same. The only thing is, there's in intelligence, there's a more liquid, what you call a fluid approach to things, because you have to be interchangeable, chameleon-like in some stances, so that you can get results that you want. On the battlefield, it just might mix right. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
It's me, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's a fact.
Hey, fellas, I gotta go cook, man. My little boys that came here, I gotta go cook real quick, and then I'm gonna tap back in later on. We're gonna have fun tonight. Y'all gonna be available. We're gonna go back live tonight. We're gonna have the people up on here, man. They want to deal with the subject of what do you call a pygmy? So
a pygmy?
Pygmy.
A pygmy.
Oh, pygmy. Oh.
Like a lady.
Oh, God. Okay.
So we're gonna be dealing with the definition of what a pygmy is. And
Trip, you gonna be there?
Man, it just depends on because sometimes that shit gets so goofy. I was like,
it get a little goofy, but it's important though.
It is.
It is.
But it do get a little goofy.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you know we just entertaining the people. Trip. That's all.
I already know. That's why I ain't knocking it, gang. I know what it is. You know, do you build your channel? You almost there. So you know, y'all hit that like and subscribe and shit. Nigga dropping that heat. And you had 78 on here the other day. I was sick. I was like, oh shit. He got the big
everybody, y'all follow me at Hardwin999. All one word. Y'all subscribe, man.
On YouTube?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I told him he needs to start making more videos, start popping his ish.
Yeah, I got one. I got
it. Popping it.
But I got you.
I'm gonna go subscribe. Hardwin999. I got you.
Yes, sir.
I told him he needs to start. You know, he in that lane where you know he on that side net of TV type stuff. He need to go and start setting the base up and start going in, man.
Not the side net. Go ahead.
Nah, that's he doing what he doing right. What he doing right here, man. Them niggas over there.
I'll be over there sometimes, but the debate should lead to some progression at some point, and not just debates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it get wild over there. It used to be the stuff though. Tell the truth. So I know 10
Yeah,
years,
yeah, for
doing
sure.
about 10 years.
I just did a presentation on Dr. Inky page a few days ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we tapping in, man. We gotta, you know, we very diverse, man.
For sure.
All right, man. I'm gonna go cook this boy some food, man. I'll tap back in with y'all later.
Y'all
Peace.
peace.
All right,
Peace.
fam.